What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 3 Chapter 66 Lead the War Advertisement. Lagu was in big trouble at this time. Why Jew? Give me your score. From the end of the qualifiers, Bakugo was like a gunpowder keg about to explode, and the culprit was naturally Midoriya Izuku, who took second place in the obstacle race. Now that he finally had a chance to take revenge, Bakugo was the first to get him. Damn it. Xiaosheng's physical coordination is better than mine. If you continue like this, you will soon be robbed of points. Midori Valley is also acting as a rider at this time, and his horse is made up of Tokiyami Fumikage and Kaminari Denki. By the way, because Kaminari can only generate electricity indiscriminately, no one cares about Kaminari, and finally formed a team with Green Valley who lacked teammates. But now, the opposite Bakugo constantly jumped into the air to attack Green Valley, and then Zero Honda used tape to drag him back. Such attacks made Green Valley a little overwhelming. Can't go on like this anymore. We have to find a way to get rid of Bakugo, otherwise we will be in danger. As the main defensive force in the team, Tokiyami Fumikage also saw the embarrassment of Midori Valley, and his quirk was weakened a lot under the explosion light from Bakugo, which was also very disadvantageous. Do you want to get rid of that violent boy 273? Put it on me, my baby can help? After listening to the conversation between the two of them, the inventor looked at the idol on the sidelines and suddenly thought of an idea. Come on, put this on your lap. He took off a jet device from his backpack and handed it to Tokiyami, he said confidently. Although it was not clear what the pink-haired girl wanted to do, Tokiyami had no better choice now, and obediently pressed the device on his calf while Bakugo attacked. Now, let the entrepreneurs in the audience take a good look at my baby. As soon as the voice fell, the device that was originally on the legs of the eyes and the device on Tokiyami's legs were invented, and gas was suddenly ejected, and the speed of the two suddenly increased. We are rushing towards Masada, classmate. Now, do you want to use Masada to attract Xiaosheng's attention? Green Valley also discovered the clue at this time and secretly protected his headscarf. Faiju, don't run away, you guy, stop it for me. Bakugo, who was angry at the top, naturally made his teammates follow Green Valley directly, and he didn't mean to dodge at all. Bakugo, I'm going to fight against Junta before rushing over, do you really want to continue? Kirishima looked at the Masada ahead and asked with some worry. Advertisement, shudder. Just charge directly, leave the attack to me. Bakugo also has his own thoughts in his heart, ready to hit the opponent by surprise. After quickly approaching the Green Valley, Bakugo leapt forward again, sending out an explosion in his hand, and using the propelling force of the explosion to directly rush towards the still-running Green Valley. Die. Looking at the aggressive Bakugo, Midori Valley also put his hands in front of him with some panic. Stand firm, suddenly, he yelled, and suddenly there were two holes on the side of the backpack on his back, and a jet of air ejected and pushed them to the side, and Tokiyami also turned around at the same time with a heart, and steadily brought Green Valley out of the battlefield. What? Seeing the three people in Green Valley who suddenly changed their directions with the help of auxiliary devices, Bakugo was shocked. However, he was in midair at this time. Even with blasting, he couldn't change direction so quickly. Slip. Huh? Isn't this little Bakugo? Masada, who had been doing nothing, saw a figure flying towards her quickly. She became excited, and she was even more happy when she saw that it was still Bakugo. 100, give me a few handballs and let me greet him well. Turning over the small grenade in his hand, Masada smiled and smacked it directly on Bakugo's face. Boom. Although these grenades have no substantive power, the airwaves produced are very objective. Before Bakugo could react, they were directly scratched into the sky. CDEI. Damn it. Magma B*************************************** D I will kill you sooner or later. Bakugo, who was bombed into the sky, also saw the initiator of this incident, Masada, and was waving at him with a smile on his face. However, he had already wasted a lot of time on Green Valley, and he didn't even grab a headscarf. Knowing that he couldn't match up with Junta yet, so after being caught by Zero, he turned around and left unwillingly. Okay, now let's take a look at the status of the game up to the present ranking. Unknowingly, the horse riding battle has been going on for 10 minutes and Mike's commentary appeared on the field again. The big screen flashed for a while, showing the scores of each team. Wait for me. What happened? A big crisis in Class A. On the screen, there are still scores in Class A, and there are only Masada, Bakugo and Hang team left. Midori Valley Izuku's team was also robbed of the headscarf. Advertisement, your Class A is so simple. Wu Janran, with several headscarves tied around his neck, looked at Lagu, whose headscarf had just been snatched from him. Our Class B has insight into the rules of the qualifiers. When observing the quirk of your Class A, we all entered this level. And Lu Jiyu also looked guilty. It was his carelessness just now that caused the hijab to be robbed. Okay, let me frustrate the last pride of your Class A now. With a calm smile on his face, Wu Janning turned his head to the Masada in the distance. Someone is eyeing us. Looking at the malicious eyes in the distance, Masada was also interested. Cha-cha, if there is a fight later, I will throw you into the sky first? as long as I hold on for a while, I can kill them? Although I don't know the other party's quirk, the transformed Masada is now in such an expansion. Okay, leave it to me, I will definitely protect our score. Hearing Masada's encouragement, Cha-Cha also clenched his fists full of vitality and responded confidently. At this time, Wu Jian and Gran also rushed towards Masada. Is it so straightforward to rush over again? But it's just what I want. Looking at the opposite side, it seems that he didn't learn Taijei's lesson. Masada also felt a little strange, but didn't think much and threw a grenade in the past. Liancheng. Defensive wall. Seeing the grenade that sent out a huge blast just now, Wu Jian didn't dare to underestimate him and ordered his teammates to start defense. Clear. And a dead fisheye under him also took a big breath and then spit out towards the front. Boom. After the explosion, the grenade did not have any effect on the object team. This is an invisible air barrier, such an attack is useless. Wu Jianing also explained it kindly, raised his arm, and grabbed it towards the turban on Cha-Cha's neck. Chapter 67 Failed Replication Advertisement. I can't assume that I didn't see your attack like this. Seeing the opponent head straight for his team's score, Masada directly stretched out his hand to parry. Seeing Masada's actions, Wu Jianing showed a tricky smile. Boom. I saw Wu Jian Ningren's hand suddenly change direction, and the palm of his hand was facing Masada's arm, and he suddenly exploded with a blow. All the people at the scene were dumbfounded. After all, this attack method looked very similar to the active Bakugo before. The Masada who was hit by the explosion at close range also felt some pain in her arm, which might have scratched her skin. Quirk similar to Bakugo? Looking at Wu Jianengren with a smile on his face, Zheng Tai asked aloud. Ha ha ha, who knows? Without answering Masada's question, Wu Jianing's right hand was raised again, and an ice cone stabbed from his hand again. This is a booming quirk. Seeing this, Masada almost understood what the quirk of the guy opposite was. Wu Jianingren, quirk, copy, can freely use other people's quirk within 5 minutes after touching the other party, but only one can be activated at the same time. Teacher Mike also explained by looking at the cards of the contestants in his hand. After all, he was a fool when he got here. Has the Wu Jian classmates copied all the quirks of the classmates in the field before? What a terrible scheming. Hearing what Ms. Mike said, Wu Jianren smiled triumphantly. That's right, use your quirk to defeat you, isn't such a thing too wonderful? Besides, I also photographed your arm just now, Igarashi classmate. Speaking of this, Wu Jianren seemed to be broken, with a weird smile on his face. Advertisement, your quirk must also be very powerful? The outstretched fist gradually turned red. Is it true that Masada's quirk will really be used by the other party? Nonsense. Of course my quirk is powerful, but do you think anyone can control such a powerful quirk? Looking at the other side, it seemed that he had fallen into his own fantasy. Masada's face was a little strange. Of course he knows how strong his quirk is, but don't forget that Zheng is too able to control the key to the quirk of Magma, but his hidden quirk, gene fortification. And if you do not have a strong body and sufficient physical strength, use this quirk hastily. Then the end will be the same as the Wu Jianren in front of him. It's just that the fist turns red and the temperature rises, and nothing else happens. Damn, what happened? Shouldn't your quirk be Magma? Seeing that the quirk he used was completely different from what he saw, the smile on Wu Jianing's face disappeared. I don't believe in this kind of thing. All the while relying on copying other people's quirks, Wu Jianren, who has not encountered any setbacks, urged Masada's quirk even harder, and even black smoke came out of his fists. However, with his thin body, it is really impossible for him to do this with his current limit after more than 10 years of training, coupled with the Masada who possesses passive skills. After all, Masada's quirk has been strengthened not long ago, but it has been greatly strengthened, and the corresponding physical energy will definitely increase. It was dark in front of him, and Wu Jianengren felt powerless all over his body. With the support of his teammates, he barely stabilized his body. Damn. What is this weird quirk? Holding a heavy head with one hand, Wu Jian asked Masada strenuously. This kind of small question is too natural and I am willing to answer it. Anyway, this is not a secret. I want to come to the quirk you copied, but it must be different from person to person. I use a very skilled quirk, you may not be so comfortable use of it. What happened here also attracted the attention of the audience. Hearing Masada's explanation, the audience suddenly realized. They were still thinking before that the copied quirk can be said to be perfect, but after listening to such an analysis, they felt that it was nothing but that in an instant. You think, if you use the same quirk against others, and as a result, the power of others will surpass you, then you must be the one who is unlucky. Therefore, only after copying enough quirks, can they be used flexibly against the other party's quirks. But Wu Jianengren, who was overconfident, obviously didn't think of this. This was also the reason why he was easily defeated. You guy dared to steal my quirk, see if I won't kill you. Bakugo, who had just left, saw that someone had copied his quirk, and he rushed back again, directly attacking Wu Jianren who hadn't slowed down from the air. Advertisement, for flowers, Guardian. The previous dead fisheye was also very keen, and it spit out an air barrier from his mouth to block Bakugo. Snapped. With a muffled sound, Bakugo stopped in midair as if hitting glass. However, Bakugo directly grabbed the edge of the air barrier, and the explosion in his hand directly shattered a part of it. Like a black tiger digging his heart, he grabbed a turban from the neck of the unresponsive Wu Jianren. Good job, Bakugo. But he is my prey. Seeing someone snatching things that belonged to him from under his nose, Masada was also upset. Cha-Cha, take care of your own safety. Holding Cha-Cha's body, he threw it into the sky, and Cha-Cha also knew how to understand. When he flew to the highest point, he activated his quirk and stopped in midair. This is too ridiculous. Seeing Masada's squad operation, the audience's eyes were all staring. Isn't this directly invincible? And Yaoyorozu Bai has already created an iron rod at this time, holding it in his hand, looking around defensively. After all, maybe someone's quirk can attack the Cha-Cha in the air, and she can intercept it in advance. Leave me here. The relaxed Masada rushed towards Bakugo, who still wanted to continue to grab the turban. The super fast speed made Bakugo, who did not pay attention to the actions of Masada, unable to react at all. It only felt that a gust of wind had blown, and the turban he had just snatched was gone. And fly away. And Jung Tai was still not satisfied. He turned back and used his own quirk under his feet. The powerful explosive force made him come to Wu Jianing in an instant. It seems that you are going to frustrate my spirit and this wish can't be fulfilled. A big smile was shown towards Wu Jianingren. Masada disappeared again in the same place, and returned to the bottom of the T, which was still holding on in the air. When Yaoyorozu saw Masada coming back, he immediately formed a warhorse pose with him and caught the beautiful shadow that fell. Time UP. Teacher Mike's voice echoed in the arena at this time, putting an end to the horse riding battle. Long. Chapter 68 Strong Mouth King Advertisement, we. Touching the headscarf on his forehead, Cha-Cha laughed happily. Then let's take a look at the top-ranked teams right away. After announcing the end of the game, Ms. Mike immediately began to announce the results with excitement, and the audience began to cheer. First place, Team 50 posts. Taking a lot of headscarves from Wu Jianingren, plus his original 10 million points, it is a certainty that Masada's team won the first place. Second place, Boom Squad. Shoto Todoroki's team includes Iida and Mina respectively. With the strong field control ability, their team is basically unmatched. Moreover, Iida also made people's eyes shine in this game. Through the overload use of its own quirk, it turned out that the 277 sent out a speed that people can't see clearly, even in the professional hero. It's also rare here. However, his quirk will also have a cooldown period after using it, which is considered to be a skill at the bottom of the box. Third place, Bakugo team. Unexpectedly, the third place turned out to be Bakugo's team. Bakugo's team has been chasing Green Valley Izuku, and it didn't get the score of Green Valley until the end. They had only a short period of time to grab other people's scores, and they were able to get the third place, which shows that Bakugo's strength is not bad. Fourth place, the Heart Worry team. When did you rush up? Obviously it was not too long ago, and the team that was worried about it still scored 0 points. Why did they succeed in qualifying after the game ended? Not only did Mike fail to figure it out, but the audience did not understand it. However, the score is the last word. Since they have obtained this score, their strength must be certain. Fifth place, Boxing Tang team. This is a team led by Kento Kazuka, the leader of Class B, and they only have 3 people, so it happens to have 16 contestants. All Might. Advertisement Midoriya Izuku clasped his hands and looked at the big screen, and couldn't help lowering his head. Even in the last 5 minutes, relying on his excellent tactics, inventing purpose equipment and Tokiyami's all-round quirk grabbed 2 headscarves, they only ranked 6th. Why do you want to shine at the sports festival? What do you say to let everyone know that I was born? In the end, I didn't even make the finals. How did this make me face All Might? The more I thought about it, the more sad Legu, the closed eyes couldn't help leaking liquid. At this time, one of his hands was patted on his shoulder. Man, don't shed tears easily. Turning his head, Lu Jiyu saw a face that was too serious. This is the first time that Lu Jiyu has seen Masada with such an expression. Student Masada, Seeing Masada, Legu seemed to be even more sad, and the tears in his eyes flickered even more. Is your life just denied by this game? It is too natural to know what Legu was thinking in his heart. It was nothing more than to live up to All Might's expectations. He felt that he was not qualified to be a symbol of peace for the next generation. Don't use the eyes of others to prove your existence. Isn't your dream just beginning? Can you give up if you encounter a setback? Masada's words were like a knife, thrusting into Lugu's chest. Because of being quirkless since he was a child, Lugu's temperament has always been very weak, which also made him particularly concerned about the opinions of others. And in this vast arena, this kind of psychology is even more magnified. This also made him fall into the vicious circle of self-denial. If no one came to wake him up, maybe he would sink like this. Fortunately, Jung Tai was also very timely to see what was wrong with Legu, and also used some of his own experience to enlighten him, and the effect is not bad at present. Wiping a few drops of tears on his eyelashes, Legu grinned his mouth strenuously to imitate All Might's confident smile. I understand, Masada classmate, I will work harder, and I will fight with you next year. Advertisement seeing Lugu's renewed confidence, I was too relieved. After all, as the monitor, it is an obligation and responsibility to enlighten classmates. And the popularity of Green Valley is also very good, and the relationship with Masada is also very good. Igarashi boy. Nice job. All Might in the stands naturally saw the gloom in Lugu's heart. Originally thinking about pulling him to talk at noon, it turned out that he saw Masada's words that made Lu Jiyu return to normal. The appearance, even more fighting spirit, is also relieved. Scream. Fei Ju didn't even get promoted. Bakugo, who was also paying attention to the screen, felt unhappy when he saw that Green Valley did not qualify. I lost to him in the last indoor match. I also wanted to teach him a lesson at this sports festival, but Green Valley didn't even get promoted. So what is he? Although on the surface he looked down on Green Valley, Bakugo still cared about his childhood sweetheart. Huh. In the gloomy bar, a wine glass full of red wine was thrown out, shattering on the wall, leaving a pool of dark red wine stains. As this Magma kid called Igarashi Masada, the dead wood sitting on the bar, watching the picture on the TV, is a close-up of Masada winning the first place. Damn kid. Actually gave my Nomu. Seeing Masada's brilliant smile, Shigeki felt more and more unhappy, and kept clutching his neck to vent his depression. I want to go straight to kill him. Wiping a cup on the side, Kurogiri, who played the role of a bartender in 4.8, saw Shigeki's anxious performance, and persuaded him. The sports festival allows us to understand the opportunities for the students to quirk. Loss. Now it is better to analyze their respective quirks and prepare for the next battle. After listening to Kurogiri's words, Shigaraki gradually calmed down. I heard that the hero's killer is very active recently. Kurogiri, what do you think if we bring him in? Have you learned to think for yourself? My eyes on the mist narrowed. That's really a good idea. In the arena, the morning game was all over, and the audience gradually left the field. In the afternoon, it was the third game and the highlight of the year, the 1v1 knockout. Chapter 69 Wrongly Calculated Grapes Advertisement. I always think it's so easy to get promoted. Mina walked next to Cha-Cha and said, it feels like there is nothing wrong with me. The limelight completely left classmate Hong out alone. Does my strength really deserve this term? After listening to Mina's remarks, Cha-Cha was also embarrassed. I'm the same as you. I just used the quirk at the last moment. Masada classmate solved all villains by himself. Speaking of which, what about Masada others? Since the end, I don't know where to go. Yaoyorozu asked strangely. He wanted to go to dinner with him, but now he doesn't even have a personal picture. Forget it, let's go and eat by ourselves, don't wait for him. And at this time, Masatai, yo, Jiao Dong, are you trying to whisper to me? As soon as the game was over, Masada was dragged into a secluded corridor by the scorch of the iceberg face. He looked like he had something to say to himself. Or do you want to talk about something you want to worry about? I can't tell you that I am very confident about my own lips. Seeing that he stared at 23 himself so coldly, Masada spoke again. I was too panicked. Classmate Igarashi, after pondering for a long time, Hong finally spoke slowly. Do you know, quirk marriage? Hearing Boom finally speaking, Masada also sighed. Of course I know this. It is to let my children inherit a stronger quirk, and choose a marriage partner with a purpose. I always feel that it is a backward thinking. Well, but why are you asking this? That's right. My dad got my mother's relatives by means, and got my mother's quirk, and I inherited their quirk perfectly. Classmate Igarashi, you are also the product of quirk marriage. What? When I heard the sudden questioning, I was so sorry. My parents are in love. I guess they are still on vacation, right? And my family doesn't look like a rich one, so why suddenly it becomes a quirk marriage NS? Advertisement, your powerful Magma quirk, isn't it the same as me, deliberately, made? Seeing that Masada didn't respond, Boom asked anxiously again. Of course not, my quirk is a kind of compound, how can you think it is a quirk marriage? Seeing the excited Boom, Masada also quickly explained, it seems that Boom treats him as a kind. No. Is it? Masada's answer obviously stunned. In his eyes, quirks like Magma that have never been heard of must have been born through quirk marriage. I was born as a tool by my dad, a tool for surpassing all might. As if suddenly discouraged, Boom began to tell his story. My dad is an extremely strong person. Although he became famous after his debut, he also realized one thing. In any case, it can't exceed the current #1 hero's all might. Then I was born. In my memory, my mother is always crying. I will never be that kind of scum tool. Speaking of this, Boom's expression became fierce. In the contestant's oath, you said that you want to be the strongest person. And I have to fight for it. I want to prove to the scumbag that even if I don't use its quirk, I am the #1. In order to deny everything he has done. Classmate Igarashi, I will beat you in this arena. Even though he has seen Masada's combat power in USJ, there is no sense of timidity in Bang now. Perhaps this is the prerequisite for becoming a strong man. Looking straight at him, with a warlike Boom, Jung Tai put away the smile on his face, which is also a kind of respect for him. Even if you are fighting with me, don't you still plan to use your full strength? This is not a question of not using my full strength, but I want to prove. Hearing Masada's words, he hurriedly said. Enough. Want to fight with me, and then tell me in advance to release the water. Did you come to this game with this kind of mind? Relentlessly interrupting Boom's words, Masada almost shouted out. Advertisement. If you really think so, I can tell you for sure, you can never surpass me. Who do you think of yourself? The protagonist. Don't think that the whole earth is revolving around you, only you are the wrong person, kid. Your own strength is strength, does it depend on the source? Play house games should go home and play with you Lao Su. Don't be embarrassed in this arena. Turning around, he was not interested in listening to Shoto Todoroki's sad past, and walked out just after too much steps, leaving behind the shock of being overwhelmed by what Masada said. I don't know if I can go to the cafeteria and eat. I can't fight when I'm hungry. Masada, who was muttering to herself, gradually walked away, while Boom was staring at her left hand in a daze. My own strength? I have to say that if the same words are spoken from different people, the effect is different. If Mineta, Grape, I'm the one who carries the pot again, said this, Boom may be dismissive at all. 277 was a little shaken. Yo, isn't this Grape and Kaminari? What are you doing at Didi Chongsung? Quickly rushed to the canteen, and the Jangma who had settled the lunch came to the lounge, and saw the two people whispering in the corner. Boss, come here. Seeing Masaru, Mineta's face showed a mysterious smile. What's wrong? That's right, I saw a cheerleader in the backstage just now, and then I thought. Pudao wore a wretched smile on his face, trying to get Masada onto the thief boat. Do not want. What? The two who thought they could easily persuade Masada, their eyes widened when they heard Masada's straightforward rejection. After all, Jungda looks like a person with two girlfriends. This kind of thing should be very enthusiastic. I have seen everything I can see at home, and I have also experienced more exciting things. Digging his ears, Masada looked at the two with disdain. What's so good about cheerleading uniforms? I don't know. Besides, I think it must be watched at home, so why are you able to watch it too? The crit of Masada made Mineta and Kaminari, two wishful thinking guys, instantly yours, almost forgetting that this guy is the winner of life living with two beautiful girls. Chapter 70 The decisive battle begins, advertisement. In the end, Grape and Kaminari's flamboyant thoughts were still disturbed by Masada, which made the girls in the class look at them without kindness. Don't worry about this guy, Grape, after all, his wretchedness can not only be reflected from the outside, but after so many days of getting along, his nature has been revealed. But Kaminari, a sunny-looking boy, would follow him to mess around, and the girls in the class really didn't expect it. The lunch break also passed in a flash. In the afternoon, it was the team that was promoted by the equestrian race. A total of 16 players brought a one-on-one knockout. At this time, the students standing here are also very excited. Shangying's sports festivals are broadcast live all over the country. It can be said that these people have seen them from childhood. And this time, I can stand on this stage and become a character on the screen. Then next, let's use a lottery to determine the groupings. After everyone is divided into groups, the final will officially begin after participating in the entertainment project. Teacher Midnight also announced the rules of the game at this time and came to the venue with a lottery box, apparently intending to manually draw lots to determine the allocation of personnel. Wait a minute, I abstain. I also abstained, me too. Suddenly, Ojiro Mashirao, Shota Combo from Class B and another general student suddenly raised their hands and said. These three were the team members who were worried during the horse riding battle, and the sudden and continuous abstentions surprised everyone. This is a rare opportunity to perform in front of the professional hero, S. Actually, until the end of the game, I had no impression of the horseback riding war at all. I knew it would be stupid to give up this opportunity, but Ojiro Mashirao was also very entangled at this time. Although his presence in the class is not strong, he is a good boy in all aspects. I really don't want to occupy one inexplicably like this. Everyone is striving for an opportunity. Yes, our reason is the same. Obviously, the three had already discussed it, so they abstained together at this time. After listening to the three people's speeches, Teacher Midnight was also moved by their spirit, and decisively agreed to their proposal. And this time, 3 of the 16 places were vacated at once. Which 3 lucky ones will be left in the end? Those students who did not advance to the finals were a little excited. Advertisement, teacher, I want to leave my place to Midori Valley Izuku classmate. At this time, Ojiro raised his hand again and said, in my daily dealings, I can feel the determination of Lagu classmates to strive for improvement, and in this horseback riding competition, he also won the 6th place. So I don't think my decision is too much. Classmate Ojiro. Suddenly when I heard Ojiro Mashirao mentioning himself, he still wanted to save a valuable place to himself. The tears in Lugu's eyes were obviously intent on breaking the bank. Okay. I like your naive speech. I agree. Teacher Midnight, who presided over the competition entirely based on personal preferences, also waved his hand and replaced Ojiro with the name of Green Valley on the big screen. The other 2 places are given to Tokiyami Fumikage and Invention Goal, who also performed well in horseback riding. Moreover, a logistics student was killed in the final, which is also a highlight of this year. Classmate Ojiro. I will cherish this hard-won opportunity and perform well on the court. Lagu was already crying in a mess, and his tears poured down like a waterfall, making people wonder if he would become dehydrated and pass out. I had no hope for this sports festival, so I decided to study the quirk of my classmates to enrich myself. As a result, now the peak is turning, and he has the opportunity to play again. Lagu only feels that at this moment, he is the chosen son. In this way, the places for entering the finals were determined in a vague way, and it didn't take long before the grouping situation was also announced on the screen. Let me take a look at my opponent. Was it actually against Kirishima in the first game? Masada also found his opponent, but he didn't expect to face up with his good brother in the first game. Masada, I don't know how to keep my hands, let's have a manly battle. Kirishima also found Masada at this time, patted his shoulder heavily, exposing a mouthful of white teeth, and said passionately, fighting the strong is always so exciting. Ha 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 ha, Kirishima, you have to be careful, I have already decided to take first place, I won't be merciful if I block my way. The madam also punched Kirishima with a backhand hard on Kirishima's chest, also grinning provocatively. Advertisement. Seeing two people who had suddenly changed from close friends to enemies, Yaoyorozu sighed, she was a little uneasy now. Maybe it is Masada and Cha-Cha who have really fought against him. Yaoyorozu knows that although she is not weak, she has too little combat experience, which is also related to her unwillingness to fight. Just like the security guards at home are very strong, Masada often uses them to practice hands, but Yaoyorozu Bai did not do this. In this battle, her opponent is Tokiyami Fumikage. As a classmate, she naturally knows that Tokiyami's quirk is very versatile, offensive and defensive. It can be said to be a perfect quirk, and in the usual course, Tokiyami is also a middle upper in the class, which makes her a little nervous. I looked at the Cha-Cha next to me for some comfort, but found that Cha-Cha's expression was a little darkened. Bakugo. After discovering that Cha-Cha's opponent turned out to be a hot-tempered Bakugo, Yaoyorozu also somewhat understood Cha-Cha's mood at this time. This can be regarded as a kind of comfort. Pulling Cha-Cha's arm, Yaoyorozu sighed again. Right, Green Valley. Ojiro saw the match table and suddenly said, to Jiao Jiao, to Izuku, don't answer his words. Midoriya Izuku's opponent was Hitoshi Shinso, and Ojiro also found out some clues about his quirk through the previous horse riding battle, so he reminded him at this time. Hearing Ojiro's words, Midori Valley nodded solemnly. Although I don't know the reason, Ojiro will definitely not harm him, and he will definitely use 100% of his efforts to treat this game. There is nothing to say after that. In the period before the start of the competition, it is an entertainment project with a large audience. All students can participate in it and relax their nerves regardless of whether they are promoted or not. However, the finalists are basically planning to take a break and consider what methods to use against their opponents. Of course, Masada and Kirishima are here except for the two optimists, the two of them are having fun. After the entertainment project is over, the most anticipated final project begins. Chapter 71 Opening. Advertisement. After so many projects, as expected, the most fascinating thing is this actual battle. After Cement Man temporarily created a playing field, Mr. Mike announced the start of the game. The only thing you can rely on is your own strength. And the rules are that there are no rules. As long as the opponent loses the ability to fight or goes out of the field, it is victory. Don't be afraid of getting hurt. Let go of the shackles of ethics for the time being. Of course, if you use a move that may endanger the opponent's life, you will be disqualified on the spot. Hearing this, Masada also felt difficult. After all, it was just a game, and the opponents were all classmates who got along day and night. Instead, putting his powerful quirk here was a little daunting. The first game, Midoriya Izuku, confrontation Hitoshi Shinso. The game begins. Except for the participating personnel, everyone else is now watching the game in a special stand. The sharp-eyed Masada also saw what All Might was talking to Lugu just now, but it was also some words of encouragement. I don't know if Izuku can win. The classmates of Class A are all sitting together and discussing. That Hitoshi Shinso was the one who came to the class to provoke me. Looking at the familiar dead fisheye, Masada was vaguely impressed. Yes, but I didn't see him in the previous games, but he went all the way to the finals in a weird way. What a strange 277 person. Ida looked at the game off the court with a serious face, and was a little worried about Midoriya. After all, the unknown is the most terrifying villains. Hearing Ida's worried tone, she waved her hand too much. Don't worry, trust your friends, Ida, Midori, he has a reason not to lose now. I can't lose. The Green Valley in the field was thinking this way. As soon as the game started, Green Valley cheered up for 12 points. The distress in front of him constantly tried to provoke Lugu with words, and he did. But at this time there is more important thing than rebuttal, which is victory. After Ojiro's reminder, Midori Valley ignored him at all, and rushed to Hitoshi Shinso, gave him a severe uppercut, and knocked him out. Green Valley Izuku, advance. The speed and simplicity of this showdown made the CDEI audience a bit unacceptable. It is said that they are all the elites of Xiangyang. Why did the two ended the battle without using the quirk? And the battle process was not even exciting from the street gang fights. Advertisement. Don't worry, everyone. Although the first game was a bit unsatisfactory as the opening, the next game will definitely satisfy you. Seeing a little bit cold, Mike immediately announced the next game, trying to enliven the atmosphere. The second match, Honda from Setro from Class A, versus from Class A, Shoto Todoroki. Hearing the name of the boom, the arena instantly boiled. The son of number 2 hero S. Endeavor, the escort student of Xiangying, and the extremely powerful Quirk, attracted everyone's attention in an instant. It feels like being treated as a trick. Zero Honta twisted his neck and said somewhat mockingly. However, when he played with Boom, few people cared about him at all. Everyone wanted to know how powerful Endeavor's son could be. Well, although I don't think I can win, I still have to try it. Just in case. I won. Before blasting his hand, Zero Honta directly threw the sticky bandage from his elbow, tied him standing in place with an indifferent blast, and wanted to throw him out of the field. Zero classmate is preemptive. Is this an excellent child who always gives a sense of mediocrity to complete the counterattack? Zero's fast break was unexpected to the audience. It can only be said that it is Class A. Anyone who comes out is so powerful. However, the term, powerful, also requires a comparison. Bounded, his low-pitched head suddenly slapped up, and his eyes were covered with bloodshot eyes. Feel sorry. The words without temperature were spoken from the mouth, and the right foot instantly gave out an icy breath. A huge iceberg was pulled up directly from the booming body, and it continued to spread upwards, and finally even covered half of the gymnasium. Good. Cold. The low temperature emanating from the ice enveloped the entire stadium, but everyone in the stadium was shivering from the cold on days when the sun was shining brightly. As for Zero Honta, there was only one head left that was not frozen, and his teeth were still trembling. Shoto Todoroki. Well-deserved reputation. Killed the opponent in an instant. Is the dragon set destined to complete the counterattack? Teacher Mike's voice was also cold at this time and trembled a little, while Teacher Midnight was even more miserable. He was still covered with a layer of frost due to standing close. In the second game, classmate Heng won. Advertisement. Zero in front of him was obviously unable to act, so Mr. Midnight also directly announced the result of the game. Sorry, it's a bit heavy, and I'm not in a good mood. So if you are in a bad mood, do you just do whatever you want? Walking to Zero's side, Boom stretched out his left hand and started to unfreeze him. Although the cheers in the court were thunderous, Masada felt the anger and confusion intertwined in Boom's eyes. Is it useless after all I have said? It's really a child's disposition. In fact, this cannot be blamed on Boom. Time to return to before the game. It's really unbearable, scorched. Boom's father Endeavor, leaning on the wall of the corridor, said to Boom, who was walking towards the arena. I didn't get a first place in the 2 games. As long as you are willing to use the power on the left, the results will definitely not be so bleak, right? Give me enough. You have the obligation to surpass All Might. However, for his father's speech, Boom didn't even look at him, gritted his teeth and walked over in front of him. Don't you understand? You are my strongest masterpiece. Different from your brothers. Looking at his cold son, Endeavor's tone also rushed. The booming footsteps stopped. Without looking back, his bangs covered his expression. I will never use your power in battle, just show me a good look. Even if you can still eat like this in your school days, you will soon reach your limit. Putting his arms around his chest, as if he had given up persuading his son, Endeavor's expression calmed down. Your class leader, Masada Igarashi, right? You who only use ice, can you beat him? This time, the boom did not stop. The sunlight at the entrance of the passage hit him, and his left body was plunged into the shadows. Chapter 72 Junta vs. Kirishima. Advertisement. The next game is also remarkable. Mina uses her own acid to slide, there is a giant arm of the fisting cane, and various dazzling props are invented. The audience is also tasteful. Next game, Igarashi Masada, confront Kirishima Eijiro. Hearing Mike's announcement, Masada, who had been waiting in the contestant channel for a long time, stretched his body. Finally it's my turn. Stepping into the arena, the surrounding audience burst into cheers in an instant. No matter the appearance or the strength of Masada, the audience is obviously very pleasing to the audience. Squad leader Igarashi Masada of Class A, the champion of the qualifiers, the champion of horseback riding. And he is an undisputed champion. Is he a monster? There is also a passionate boy Kirishima Eijiro who has a very old but very practical quirk. What kind of bloody battle will the two of them bring us? Game start. On the ring, the two looked at each other. Kirishima, there is no such thing as 23 brothers in the game. I believe you understand it too. That's right. Let me fight you with all my blood, Masada. With a loud roar, the two rushed straight towards each other. Take me a punch. Shota's fist slammed Kirishima's face, and Kirishima was also directly repelled by this huge force. It doesn't hurt at all. B******************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** Kirishima's face had clearly hardened, forming rocky lines. So. Seeing that Kirishima had completely endured his punch and looked okay, Masada was also happy with Lai. Such sandbags are not easy to find now. A whip kick kicked Kirishima's waist, and this time Kirishima responded very promptly, using his hardened arms to block Junta's blow, but even so, he still took a few steps back. No matter how many times I have seen it, your strength is still the same shocking. The Masada in front of him is now in Kirishima's eyes, like a wild beast. That powerful sense of battle and terrifying power makes him a little overwhelmed. What are you whole doing? Hey, it's so similar to Lao Tzu's quirk, but is it only at this level? Give me a little serious. Advertisement. Kirishima, who was relying on his quirk and constantly defending against being attacked, suddenly heard the sound from the stands. As that guy Tai J. The two had a fate in the qualifiers before, and they couldn't deal with each other because of similar quirks. Who knew it was this guy who was cheering him on now? If you still have this kind of useless performance that can only be beaten, then change to Lao Tzu. Seeing Kirishima who has been being beaten, Tai J is now very angry, and the friendship between the hot-blooded men is sometimes so inexplicable. Che, obviously I haven't been knocked out yet, but now I'm still here to laugh at me. Although Kirishima said so from her mouth, there was a flame in her eyes. It doesn't work like this. Give me a little harder. Ah 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 ah. Kirishima roared suddenly, and the skin on his body became a horny substance, with pointed bumps, as if it had become a rock monster. Is this a transformation? Breakthrough in battle. Kirishima really has you. Seeing Kirishima's transformation that is not gorgeous but rather terrifying, I was too surprised and rejoiced, clenching his fists and cheating on the body again. Woolen cloth. At this point in the battle, Kirishima and Masada completed a fist collision for the first time, and after this collision, Kirishima was not as uncomfortable as before, but stabilized. Tai J, thank you very much. I am super hard now. Kirishima obviously felt his own changes, and looked at the scales on his body with confidence, and rushed towards Masada again. Not only has the hardness been greatly increased, but also the strength. And this should be considered a layer of armor, right? What is this? Think of me as a sharpening stone. Looking at the broken skin of his hands after the collision, Jung grinned too much. Although I want to congratulate you very much, you should lie down for me now. Masada finally used her quirk. Lava gloves. Advertisement. Very practical skills, not only increase the attack area, increase the power of the fist, but also has the characteristics of lava. This is also one of Masada's favorite skills. Unlike the previous battles that only rely on physical strength, after using the quirk, the strength, speed, and attack power can be said to be a qualitative improvement. Kirishima looked at the fist that exuded black smoke. Choose to believe in your body. It's hot. Even the quirk that has completed the evolution does not seem to be immune to the high temperature. The moment the two fists touched, Kirishima felt that his hand was in the boiling water, and then Myanmar. Masada's lava fist smashed the scales on Kirishima's arm without any hindrance, and the black and red fist with the billowing smoke directly hit the opponent's chest. Kirishima, who was hit by this boxing, felt like he was hit by a car, spurted a mouthful of blood, and the hardened state on his body was also relieved. Large swaths of smoke and dust. It's not a level battle at all. Even after a strange change, the hot-blooded boy Kirishima is not the opponent of Igarashi. One Punch Co. The result of the game was 277 and it was easy to see. Kirishima fell out of the field and lost his fighting power. Ms. Mike also announced the result. Igarashi Masada. Win. Is he going to win like this all the way? Can anyone come to sanction him? The victorious wife also shook off the magma in her hands and melted pits on the concrete floor. It's okay, Kirishima. When I walked to Kirishima Ajiro who was stuck in the wall and hadn't come out yet, she pulled him out. Ahem. It's really hard to start. B***************** D. Hearing what the wife said, Kirishima couldn't help but complain. Does this seem to be okay? Ha ha ha, if you can still speak, it should be fine. I have to congratulate you this time. You have become stronger in the game. Now you have to owe me a barbecue. Masada laughed without guilt and patted Kirishima's shoulder, causing the latter to shake her body again. Ah, that's right. Not only do I have to thank you this time, but I also have to thank that fellow Tai J. Next time I will let him go with him. And you, this fellow is really strong. I lost without much action. Kirishima, who feels the changes in his body, is also very happy at this time. After all, getting stronger is something that everyone here has been pursuing. After that, Masada continued to return to the stands, while Kirishima was taken to the temporary infirmary for treatment. Chapter 73 Victory of Technology. Advertisement. At this point in the game, more than half of the preliminary round has already been conducted. It's your game soon, right? How about it? Let's be confident to beat Tokiyami. The Masada who returned to the stand, sat down next to Yaoyorozu Hayaku Achacha, and asked. With a sigh, Yaoyorozu was a little worried. You said it is light. This kind of ring battle is not suitable for me at all, and Tokiyami is not weak. To be honest, I don't have a foundation in my heart. Don't be so discouraged. Your most powerful place is your mind. I clicked on Yaoyorozu's head and sniffed the scent of her hair too closely. Yaoyorozu could even feel the scorching nose beating in his ears. Go away. I was so sweaty just after the game. However, in the face of Masada's small movements, Yaoyorozu didn't appreciate it at all. He pressed Masada's forehead and pushed him away. Okay, I'm going down to get ready, and I have to cheer for TNT. After I'm over, it will come to you. NS. After speaking, Yaoyorozu turned around and left the stands, leaving Masada with a slender back. Cut. Go home and pack you up. I wanted to help Yaoyorozu resolve the tension in my heart, but I was disgusted, and Masada's heart was very sad at this time. By the way, Cha-Cha, your opponent is a bit strong. It turned out to be the little Bakugo. This luck is not covered. After Yaoyorozu left 100 times, the people around Masada only took advantage of the tea, so he also took the initiative to stir up the topic. However, Cha-Cha kept his head down from the beginning, and now he hasn't raised it. Huh, what's wrong with you? Jung leaned down too much, wanting to see what happened to this lively and cheerful girl. Then, he saw Cha-Cha's wide-open eyes and frowning eyebrows, and immediately shouted exaggeratedly. Hey, Cha-Cha, are you playing a face-changing game? If you want to scare me, then you win. Sorry, I'm so nervous. Hearing Zhengma's reminder, Cha-Cha smiled reluctantly at him as if waking up from a dream. Don't be nervous, this is just a competition. Besides, I said that I will join my hero's office in the future, and there is no need to worry about other people's eyes, so I just need to do my best to fight. Advertisement. Masada found that she has become more and more talented as an old mother. In just one day, she seems to have preached to many people. In the next game, Yaoyorozu Momo, a student from Class A, will face off against the boy who chased the dark, Tokiyami Fumikage. At this time, Yaoyorozu's match started, and the two were also sitting and watching the game. The moment the whistle sounded, Yaoyorozu jumped away from the opponent by a few back jumps. From the performance of Tokiyami on weekdays, there is a limit to the range of his quirk, Black Shadow. My speed is definitely not as fast as that of the Black Shadow, so I have to create something that can delay before he launches an attack. Things of time. The close contact with Junta before seemed to be useful, at least now Yaoyorozu Bai's heart is no longer confused, and his mind is also very clear. A ray of light flashed on his arm, and several grenades were pinched in his hand. Of course it would be better if you can directly shake him off the court. Thinking like this in his heart, Yaoyorozu pulled the latch and threw the grenade at Tokiyami who was rushing over. Boom. After the grenade exploded, a huge wave of air was generated, which also brought Yaoyorozu's body back a certain distance. However, Tokiyami's reaction was also very quick. He directly let the Black Shadow penetrate the ground and supported his body to avoid the attack. Sure enough, it's not so easy to deal with. Yaoyorozu, who was retreating, saw Tokiyami's escape this time. He gritted his teeth and used the quirk again. Several grenades appeared in his hands and threw them forward. The same attack. It's useless. Tokiyami saw the grenade thrown again, causing the Black Shadow to surround his body, forming a protective circle to resist the attack. However, the imaginary explosion did not sound. This is a smoke bomb. I saw a large amount of smoke from the rolling grenade on the ground, quickly covering the area of half of the ring. Almighty creation. Yaoyorozu won. This is really a humanoid weapon arsenal. Now, except for the two people in the field, no one can know the situation of the game. The sudden smoke made it impossible for the cameras in the arena to capture the two people in the battle, which also made the audience a little confused, and now they can only wait for the smoke to dissipate. The line of sight is completely obscured. But in this environment, the power of the shadow will also become stronger, so don't worry about it for the time being. Tokiyami also didn't plan to initiate an attack at this time, because he couldn't find Yaoyorozu at all, and decided to fight a defensive counterattack before the smoke cleared. Advertisement. Hurry up and make it before the smoke has dissipated. Yaoyorozu Bai is very busy at this time, and the light on his body is constantly flashing. Looking at this manufacturing time, you will know that it is a big killer. Finished. Because it was an open venue, the smoke did not last long. When the smoke dissipated, the two appeared in the eyes of the audience again. This is the Yaoyorozu Bai in front of him is obviously fully armed, wearing a heat-insulating suit on his graceful body, wearing a mask on his head, carrying something like an oxygen cylinder on his back, and holding a huge hand in his hand. Weapons. Although I don't know what kind of weapon this is, let's try it out first. Seeing Yaoyorozu's changes, Tokiyami didn't panic either, and drove the dark shadow towards Yaoyorozu's. Watch out. Raising the weapon in his hand and aiming at the attacking black shadow, Yaoyorozu squeezed the trigger. A raging flame ejected from the weapon, staining the field with a red color, and the temperature in the field rose suddenly. This is a flamethrower. The canister behind you is filled with fuel. Flame Man. Seeing the tongue of fire roaring towards him, the black shadow showed a humanized cold sweat on his head, and he retracted directly beside Tokiyami. Tokiyami's quirk, Heiying, in the bright place will be greatly weakened, and in the dark place will be stronger, but it is relatively more difficult to control. At this time, the flames in front of him obviously made Sombra a little timid. Because of the influence of Masada, Yaoyorozu has come into contact with many hot weapons, similar to flamethrowers, machine guns, and even howitzers. However, the latter requires too much time and fat to be used on the field, and this time, the flamethrower Yaoyorozu 100 chooses to manufacture is obviously the right thing to do, which perfectly restrains the shadows. Seeing that his attack was effective, Yaoyorozu also walked towards Tokiyami step by step holding the flamethrower. The huge flame range made Tokiyami unable to dodge at all, and was forced to retreat and leave the field. Winner, Yaoyorozu Momo. This is a complete technological victory. As Teacher Mike announced the end of the game, the last game is about to come. Cha-cha in the runners. Isle took a breath and strode towards the arena. Chapter 74 Hard Fight. Advertisement. The last game of the preliminary round, the young girl Uraraka Ochako, the showdown has been famous since the junior high school days, and she doesn't look like the good Bakugo Katsuki. After boarding the ring, Cha-cha looked at Bakugo, who looked fierce on the other side, and swallowed. You are the guy who can float objects. Bakugo even spoke first. If you want to withdraw, you can withdraw as soon as possible. If you get hit by me, it won't be as simple as pain. Hearing the words from the other side that seemed to persuade her to surrender, Cha-cha gritted her teeth and rushed towards Bakugo, unexpectedly wanting to fight him close. Since the opponent chose to attack, it is impossible for Bakugo to keep his hands in this arena. With his arms raised slightly forward, he is obviously ready for a head-on attack. Boom. Quote. A huge explosion erupted from Bakugo's palm, and the fire and smoke directly engulfed the tea. On the target. To be cruel to such a cute girl, shouldn't it be Bakugo? Teacher Mike's timely commentary also sounded, and the audience also started to discuss, but most of the comments were sympathetic to Cha-cha 277, and he encountered such a cruel opponent. Trembling. Bakugo heard the sounds coming from all over, but also glared, and fought back fiercely. Suddenly, a figure rushed out of the smoke and dust. It was the tea that the audience thought had just fallen. When the explosion was about to hit him, Cha-cha turned out to be very keen and leaned over to hide. Thanks to the special training these days, her body's agility and strength have improved a lot. Since his own quirk does not have a high bonus to the frontal combat power, Cha-cha also knows that the only chance for her to win is to touch Bakugo's body, making it difficult for him to move in the air, and then use the feature of weightlessness to push him out of the field. Under the cover of the smoke, he came directly behind Bakugo, and leaned his palm toward his back. Don't underestimate me. With a keen sense of combat, Bakugo quickly discovered Cha-cha's attempt. With a stroke of his palm directly on the ground, a strong explosion accompanied by gravel knocked Cha-cha into the air. It hurts. This time the attack was a real hit. The Cha-cha that flew out rolled over on the ground for a few times and stopped his body, and the skin on his arms was frayed. Advertisement. Standing up, looking at the opposite Bakugo, who was obviously still relaxed, Cha-cha rushed over again. Too slow. Although Cha-cha's close fighting ability has been greatly improved, but Bakugo did not give her a chance to get close at all. Before she rushed to her, her hands kept exploding and knocked Cha-cha into the air again. Go out. After all, Cha-cha's quirk is not as obvious as Bakugo's increase in combat power. Watching Cha-cha from the stands being constantly knocked into the air, even if she knew that this was the arena and the recovery girl could perfectly heal her, Masada still felt a little uncomfortable in her heart. Thank you, Bakugo, I have not let my guard down. Cha-cha, who got up again, suddenly stopped charging, but pointed to each other. Try this trick. As the voice sounded, countless dense gravels fell from the sky, and they attacked Bakugo straight. That's it. The girl's assault just now was to get Bakugo to help her make weapons, and then use the smoke from the explosion to force Bakugo's sight, thus concealing her true intentions. At this time, the audience also discovered the intention of Cha-cha's continuous raids, precisely for this moment. Meteor Group. Similar to Igarashi's moves in the qualifiers. Can Bakugo manage this trick? Teacher Mike, who explained Taichung, seemed to have discovered this scene too, and said in a tone of hindsight. However, Bakugo calmly looked at the falling stones from the sky, raised one palm, CDEI, and grasped his wrist with the other hand. Boom. Quote. As soon as the explosion surpassed the previous explosion, the rubble was completely blasted out, and the raised dust even covered the sky. Shoot. Then, Bakugo felt that he couldn't feel his weight anymore. Cha-cha actually took advantage of Bakugo to concentrate on dealing with the attack from the sky, sneaking around behind him, and successfully touched him. Grabbing Bakugo's belt, Cha-cha directly slammed him out with a 360 turn. It's careless. Bakugo in the air also realized his mistake and tried to adjust his body shape. Advertisement. A series of explosions erupted from both hands, and Bakugo soon stopped in the air, and then rushed to the exhausted Cha-cha at a very fast speed. Even this can't help him. Seeing Bakugo raising his arms in the air, apparently already wanting to attack him, Cha-cha was a little helpless because of his weakness. He tried his best and still couldn't win. I surrender. Now that my future has been secured, and I have tried my best in the game, Cha-cha will not be so stupid to eat and explode again, it is very painful. Uraraka classmates admit defeat. Winner Bakugo Katsuki. Teacher Mike's voice sounded. Bakugo also had to stop the attack he had accumulated in his hand, abruptly stopped his movement, and walked out of the ring with a constipated expression. The first round is over. Let's start the second round after a short break. After the preliminary round, there will be a period of time for the players to recuperate and rest. The Cha-cha, which is covered with injuries, is also sent to the infirmary for treatment. Fortunately, the injuries suffered are all traumas. Soon in this magical era. Can cure. Yo. Playing a very tiring game, badass face. Zero, who was killed in a flash, was already sitting in the stands at this time. There was no frustration after the failure, and there was leisure to tease Bakugo. You are so ruthless, you can use an explosion on weak girls without hesitation. This is Kaminari Denki, who has been playing soy sauce since the horse riding battle. At this time, he can only discharge indiscriminately. It can be said that he is a double-edged sword. Are you annoying? Shut up. Hearing the comments made by his classmates, Bakugo turned his head and sat down in a row where no one was sitting. It seems that winning is not easy, little Bakugo. Suddenly behind him there was a sluggish voice, and Bakugo turned his head. Magma B**************** D. What are you doing here? Seeing Bakugo put his slightly trembling right hand into his pocket, as if to hide something, he smiled too much. Nothing. I just came to see the current state of my opponent in the next game. It looks good now, then try to beat me, Bakugo. Chapter 75 Distorted Self-Esteem. Advertisement. The encounter with Bakugo is just a small episode, and there is still a long time before the next round of competition. Masada and Yaoyorozu decided to visit Cha-Cha. I still lost. After the game, Cha-Cha returned to her usual cheerful appearance. Is the injury okay? Seeing that Cha-Cha still has some bruises on her body, Yaoyorozu asked with great concern. Well, I have already received treatment, but in order to preserve some physical strength, so there is no complete recovery all at once. After stretching her body, Cha-Cha spoke again. Bakugo classmate is really good, and my tricks of imitating Masada are completely useless for him. It seems that I have to work harder. You are wrong about that, Cha-Cha. Masada walked into the infirmary with both hands and head at this time. Bakugo took a lot of effort to resist your move, otherwise you won't let you take the opportunity to run into him. If your physical strength is better, maybe it was you who won this time. The Masada who discovered the clues of Bakugo's arm also knew that the explosion that Bakugo's arm can withstand has a limit. In the final analysis, the world that uses Quirk is still physical. The physical fitness is not up to the standard, and even a powerful Quirk cannot be fully utilized. As that's so, my parents were watching my game just now. They called me to cheer up just before you came. Hearing this, Masada became a little speechless. It seems that his parents did not even call after going out. After participating in the sports festival, there was no news. The same as the parents, this gap. And Cha-Cha, your Quirk is more advantageous for disaster relief, right? After all, we are going to establish a Hero-S firm in the future, and an excellent Hero-S firm has to develop in an all-round way, so Cha-Cha you but it is very important. Looking at Cha-Cha, who seemed to be a little annoyed, Yaoyorozu was comforting her. Jinta can only be ruined no matter what he looks like. By the way, the wife who was lying on the gun inexplicably blacked out. Well, since it's okay, then I will leave first. I am still a little interested in the battle between Lugu and Heng. Green Valley can be regarded as a good friend of his own, and Heng has also found himself not long ago, and the two are the heirs of number 1 Hero-S and number 2 Hero-S, so Masada I have great expectations for this battle. If I won the next game, then it should be against me, right? As he walked in the corridor, Mr. Masada thought to himself that he was obviously not worried that he would be defeated by Bakugo. Endeavor. Advertisement. Suddenly, around the corner came a sturdy figure full of flames. Excuse me, is there something looking for me? Looking at the other party, it didn't seem like meeting me by chance, so he spoke politely. You are the squad leader of Class A, Masada Igarashi. I have seen your previous battles, they were quite powerful. Quirk. Endeavor, who was 2 heads taller than he was, looked at the strong young man in front of him. I hope you can wake up the Scorch in this game. Wake up. After all, I just heard about his father's behavior from Hong, so Masada's preconceived impression of Endeavor is not very good, but it seems that things are not like that. Yes, my son, he has the obligation to surpass All Might. But his twisted pride has become an obstacle to him. I know your strength from every aspect, so I also think you can open his heart not. So, although the uncle in front of him is undoubtedly successful as a Hero-S, from the perspective of a father, he is a clumsy dad who can't communicate with his children. From the words that boomed in the morning, combined with the man in front of him who was obviously in love with his son, Masada came to a conclusion. Haha, don't worry, uncle, as the class monitor, I naturally have the responsibility to enlighten the classmates in the class, so I don't need you to say that I will do the same. I didn't feel any sense of oppression from the other party. Masada also changed his name in transit, however, on the road of becoming the strongest person, I won't be able to blast the water. After all, this is my long cherished wish. Quote. Is it the strongest? Hearing Masada's words, Endeavor remembered himself when he was young. He had already thought that he had reached the top, but he could only look at the figure above. Perhaps it would be nice to have a partner on the way up the climb. Welcome back. The second round of the game starts now. Not much nonsense. In the first game, Izuku, who has not used the Quirk, will play against the powerful and invincible Shoto Todoroki. I don't know if Lugu's luck can help him again this time. Game start. This is really a match between the two tops. Advertisement. Masada is now sitting in the stands, watching the game with the classmates. For flowers. And the surrounding classmates didn't have any objections. After all, after spending so many days together, they don't believe that Green Valley Izuku was promoted entirely by luck, not to mention that Green Valley has also released that powerful shock wave, and the power is amazing. An iceberg instantly pulled up from the ground and quickly spread towards the Green Valley standing in place. Boom obviously didn't underestimate his opponent. Smash. Quote. Green Valley also launched ONEFORALL with his fingers in an instant, and the strong wind pressure directly broke the ice cubes to pieces, but it was unable to attack the iceberg. Of course, this finger is also considered useless. In the subsequent process, it is said that gorgeous is very gorgeous, but the audience is also a little tired of aesthetics. The two stood in place like this, quietly bombarding each other, while constantly trying to freeze each other, while constantly using their fingers to send shock waves to resolve the offensive, and the two sides gradually formed a deadlock. Point 0. At this time, Lugu's two hands, a total of 8 fingers, had been completely scrapped under the powerful force of ONEFORALL, and the right half of his body was gradually stained with frost. No matter how many times I watch it, I am a little envious. Such continuous and large-scale attacks. Kirishima had healed at this time, looking excitedly at the endless icebergs in the venue from the stands. So are Jungtae and Bakugo, right? Both are the kind of quirks that can release powerful attacks. Huh. When Kirishima mentioned himself, Bakugo, who had been watching the game silently, said, "Do you really think that such an attack can be used casually? After all, quirk is also a bodily function, and as long as it is a bodily function, there is a limit. Such continuous attacks are very physically demanding. I believe the same is true for Magma bastards. That's why I think of using the power of the combat uniform to release the ultimate explosion. Yes, but the combat uniform that can withstand my strength is really not easy to make, so I don't force it. And the current boom should be reaching its limit, right?" Jungtae also agreed with Bakugo's words. Although Bakugo has a grumpy temper, his heart is surprisingly delicate. The final result of the battle was victory. Even if ONEFORALL was launched again with the face and thumb, the ice wall was pushed out of the field. Until the last moment, Boom did not intend to use the power of his left body. Long. Chapter 76 Jungtae vs Bakugo. Advertisement. Here you are the most diligent. After the game in Green Valley, the recovery girl wrapped him into a zongzi. Since his game was still early, Masada followed. It's really a wolf fox, Izuku. At this time, Lugu, due to excessive physical exertion, could only lie in bed to rest. Masada stood on the edge of the bed and looked at him. Ah, I still can't control ONEFORALL's power freely. This time I also lost to classmate Boom, I was really unwilling. When I heard Midori Valley, I just wanted to laugh. If ONFO can be controlled so well, why is it so powerful? Besides, how long did you get the quirk? I want to win over 15 years of hard work. Boom. The road still has to be taken step by step, this time you have done a good job. Right, All Might. Ni 80 inches turned his head towards the door of the ward and found that the thin All Might was standing at the door. Without answering Zhengma's words, All Might was just silent. All Pharaoh had come out again, he knew very well that there was not much time left for Green Valley. After this sports festival, I will find someone to help you control ONEFORALL as soon as possible. I don't know if the expression on his face is sad or guilt. All Might speaks slowly. There has been news from the police station in the past 2 days that the scope of the League of Villains is constantly expanding. Green Valley boy, you must grow up as soon as possible. Looking at the two people who fell silent, Masada quietly left the ward and left them time. After returning to the field, the match between Yaoyorozu Hyaku and Kendo Kazuka was going on. Although the quirk that can huge part of the body is very powerful, she is not very fast, and after Yaoyorozu stretches the distance and creates the first weapon, she basically has no hope of winning. Facing the endless variety of grenades and barricades, Kento Kazuki couldn't even approach the opponent at all, and could only passively defend. This also made Yaoyorozu create more weapons and fell into a loop. In the end, he was knocked out of the field by a shock grenade. And the next game is Iida vs. Mina. The speed of the end of this game is a bit of a fight between Midori Valley and Heartache. After Iida appeared on the field, his own piston engine broke out. He was thrown out of the field without fighting back. At this time, the top 4 list has also confirmed 3, namely Shoto Todoroki, Iida and Yaoyorozu Momo. The final spot will be decided in the final game. Dear viewers, the last of the second round, the civil war from Class A, all the way to the first place Magma Demon Igarashi Masada, against the grumpy boy Bakugo Katsuki who has no mercy. Magma Demon. This nickname is really stupid. Is Mrs. Mike's aesthetic so strange? Advertisement. Walking slowly onto the stage, Masada complained about her improvisational nickname. Go to hell, Magma B*****************. D. However, Bakugo didn't seem to have the thought of talking nonsense with Masada. As soon as the game started, he rushed towards Masada. Don't be so impatient, little Bakugo, to enjoy the fun of the battle. Isn't it too boring to end the battle so quickly? Looking at Bakugo who was calling towards his chest, he stepped sideways to the side too unhurriedly, avoided this fist, and grabbed Bakugo's wrist while trying to throw him out. Vo-ohm. Quote. Who knows, the caught Bakugo actually exploded with a blow directly from the palm of his hand, shaking Masada's hand away. You know, his hand is aimed at his arm, which is regarded as hurting the enemy. Yaoyorozu lost himself 1,000. The reaction is really fast, and my strength is much smaller than him, I can't get close to him. Bakugo, who couldn't make a single blow, also had a general idea in his mind, with his hands facing forward to Masa, who was standing in place and shaking his arms. Die. The same huge explosion as the previous Hongfikacha move came from the heart of both hands. The huge explosion also cracked the concrete floor and set off a large cloud of smoke. Seeing the air waves rushing forward, Masada didn't mean to hide in the slightest, so she stretched out an arm, as if she wanted to stop the explosion. The flames swallowed him in an instant, and people on the sidelines couldn't see Junta's situation at this time. Bakugo launched the previous explosion again. And Igarashi didn't seem to avoid it at all. Is it possible that he, who was invincible before, is finally going to hate him again? The spectators present were also immediately panicked. Being hit by such an explosion head-on is not just a matter of injury. The smoke gradually faded, and Masada's voice came out from it, which also made Yaoyorozu in the stands breathe a sigh of relief. The reason for not hiding is that there is no need at all. At this time, everyone finally saw the scene in the smoke, all exclaiming. Classmate Igarashi's arm was broken. Advertisement. Teacher Mike's panicked voice sounded, and the teacher Aizawa Shota next to him also opened his eyes wide. I saw that the arm that Junta stretched out just now had completely disappeared, and there was still this bright red liquid dripping slowly on his shoulders. If it is just a fracture, it can be treated easily, but if it has been broken into minced meat, it is really not cured and can only become a disabled person. And for this kind of thing happened at the sports festival, Shongying certainly couldn't get rid of responsibility. Justice. Seeing the terrifying sight in front of him, Yaoyorozu felt that his eyes were dark, but fortunately, he was hurriedly supported by Asui by his side. Oh, I feel like it's a big game this time. Hearing Yaoyorozu's anxious shouts and the scene where he was almost in a coma, I felt that I owed an emotional debt and no longer pretended to be disabled. As soon as I moved my heart, a burst of magma gushed out of my shoulders, which quickly filled the position of the arm, and then gradually cooled down, and finally turned back to an arm. Of course the original clothes must have disappeared. This is 4.8 inches. Turning around, seeing that the arm that had disappeared suddenly grows back, the breath that the audience had originally raised also eased. Immunity to attack. This is simply invincible, right? No, there is no invincible quirk. It must be flawed, but we don't know it. Even so, it is very strong. As expected of the squad leader of the Hero S section of Shongying. Similar discussions continued to be heard from the audience, and Yaoyorozu was relieved when he saw the intact Jungtae, and at the same time was annoyed that Jungtae did not tell him such things in advance, causing him to worry about it in vain. Cut. Is it useless? Seeing that his attack didn't work, Bakugo bit the corner of his mouth. Then, the second round begins. Bakugo. Looking at Bakugo, who was tense in front of him, he tilted his head too much. Chapter 77 The Strongest Move. Advertisement. Shotgun. This time, Masada took the lead in launching an attack. With his arms straightened and the palms of his hands raised, dense lava shells shot out of his hands and hit Bakugo. Magma Bomb. The quirk of Masada either doesn't make a move, and when he makes a move, it can make people either die or hurt. Even Bakugo can only dodge a few sideways at this time. Vo-ohm. Asterisk. While evading, Bakugo also continuously exploded towards Masada and made some interference. However, without the assistance of the combat uniform, his long-range attacks are really weak. What kind of attack is this, Bakugo? In the face of these explosions from far away, Masada didn't even have the desire to evade. A layer of magma was directly wrapped on his arm, and he broke it directly with a wave of his hand. What about the previous attack? Keep coming. Is even a long-range attack so annoying? Keep avoiding the steady stream of shotguns. Bakugo is a little irritable. Looking at this magma B asterisk 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 D looking completely relaxed, my stamina will definitely not be able to hold on like this. I have to change my strategy. With his hands facing backwards, he quickly approached Masada using the impetus of the explosion. On the way, 23 constantly used tiny blasts to change his figure to avoid Masada's attacks. You are very skilled in the use of quirk. If you can't hit the speed at this speed, then it will be a waste of energy to continue the attack. Seeing that his extremely fast shotgun couldn't hit the defensive Bakugo, Junta also stopped the long-range attack. So next is a hand-to-hand fight. The lava glove in his hand was ready, and he waited for Bakugo to rush up and give him a violent punch. This is the trick to hit Kirishima before. Bakugo also recognized Masada's moves. He had watched all his classmates' battles carefully before, and Masada's battle was even more focused. Naturally, he knew the power of Masada's punch. He didn't think his body could be as durable as Kirishima. About to rush to Masada's eyes, Bakugo used an explosion on his side to send himself to Masada's side. Too slow. What? Advertisement. Before Bakugo could stop his body in the air, he watched as Masada turned abruptly and hit his chest with a punch. Never get hit. In a crisis, Bakugo turned out to use his palm to block Masada's fist. Probably because of Bakugo quirk, the skin of his palm is very high temperature resistant, otherwise his hands would be scorched when the explosion exploded. Although it can withstand the temperature of the lava, Bakugo cannot withstand the tremendous strength. However, Bakugo also launched an explosion at the moment when he touched Shota's fist, and even blasted the lava glove to pieces. Get me back. And just as Bakugo was about to fly out, the magma in Masada's hand was directly retracted into his body, and the original palm was restored and Bakugo's arm was pulled. What? All of these movements took place between the electric light and flint. Before Bakugo made any other movements, he felt that his vision was upside down, and then there was a huge pain in his back. Boom. Obviously, he was severely thrown to the ground by Masada's shoulder. Overwhelmingly powerful. Up to now in the competition, Bakugo has not yet made an effective attack on Igarashi. But he is in a panic. The audience on the stage was also very clear about the situation in the arena. After all, Bakugo has only made 2 attacks so far, and has been evasive for the rest of the time, while Masada has barely moved on the spot. Does this guy only have muscles? What kind of weird power? Bakugo, who fell to the ground, was also a timely roll. Although it was a bit ugly, it escaped the attack from Masada. Seeing Masada's fist pierced directly into the concrete floor, the corner of Bakugo's eyes twitched a little. There is no weakness at all. The only thing I know is that his quirk is physically exhausting, but how do you think this B************* D is still full of energy now? Holding his arm, his expression was a bit ugly, his arm was seriously injured in the impact just now. There is no chance of winning in a protracted battle with him, you can only win with one blow. Secretly made a decision, Bakugo took action. He bent down and sent an explosion to the ground, and suddenly the field was filled with smoke. Hid you hide under the smoke. Do you want to launch a surprise attack? Advertisement. The thick smoke covered Bakugo's figure, and Masada stopped the attack, guarding against a possible sneak attack. Kill you. The smoke cleared, but Bakugo did not appear in his eyes. Instead, a roar was uploaded from the sky. Using the cover of smoke, Bakugo-san jumped into the air and attacked. Can Igarashi-san be as relaxed as before? Maximum power. Howitzer. Die to me. With fierce words in his mouth, Bakugo put his hands in the shape of a Qigong wave, and the fire gathered in it. Boom. The dazzling light flooded the arena in an instant, and a bright light shot from Bakugo's hand and flew towards Masada. This light is an explosion that has been suppressed to the extreme, and this time the range is much smaller, which also means that the attack power will also increase accordingly. It is hard to imagine what would happen if you were hit by this attack. 280 inches. Will such an attack go too far? This power has already surpassed many professional heroes. The knowledgeable teacher Mike also yelled. Bakugo's quirk was born for combat, and its attack power is so powerful. Need to stop them. Teacher Cement Division was also frightened by this attack, but the attack was too fast, and the speed of his cement extension simply couldn't keep up. However, the quirk of Masada is even called perfect by all for own. Is this your last trick, Bakugo? Looking at the powerful attack in front of him, Masada's blood also boiled. This is the first time among his peers, he feels a little bit of crisis. Then, let me also use my strongest strength to defeat you. With a roar in his mouth, Masada's right arm instantly turned into bright red viscous magma. Heaven dog. Since the elementalization, this is the first time that Masada has used this strongest single attack. Not only the speed of launching has been accelerated, but the power is also different. That quirk's transformation gave him a qualitative improvement in all his magma moves. Under everyone's eyes, the hot and bright red magma arm collided with the dazzling explosion. Chapter 78 Junta vs. Yaoyorozu 100. Advertisement. Boom. Quote. A mushroom cloud formed in the center of the stadium, and the strong wind pressure forced the audience to lower their bodies. What happened? A violent explosion. Did Igarashi stop Bakugo's blow? Mr. Mike, who was sitting in the commentary platform, even felt the vibration of the chair and picked up the microphone after a rush. And one in the smoke. Heaven dog. Since this move was not to elementize his arm, but to continue the power of magma in his arm, Masada still felt the pain. The violent explosion exploded at the tip of the fist, sending out a powerful shock wave and hot temperature, trying to crush Masada. Break it for me. A billowing black smoke suddenly appeared from his shoulders, like a volcano before the eruption, as if it was accumulating strength. Boom. The pressure was accumulated to a critical value. Just like a volcanic eruption, Masada's arm gained tremendous strength under the violent push of magma, and instantly penetrated the explosion, and the fist wind brought by the extreme fist. It was like a storm passing by, blowing away the surrounding smoke immediately, and the stadium became clear again in an instant. And after Bakugo used the trick just now, his hands were already weakly drooping, and he had obviously reached the limit. At this time, he was blown away by this hot updraft, and fell into the field, losing consciousness. Victor. Masada Igarashi. This is a punch full of power. The visual effect of Masada's last move is obviously excellent, which is a perfect combination of power and art. After the audience heard the announced results, they all raised their arms and shouted. The sound wave after wave, people who don't know think which singer is holding a concert. It's really amazing. Bakugo, originally it was just a simple explosion to attack, but now you can simply use your quirk. I have to say that it is a genius to some extent. Seeing Bakugo being carried off the court by the medical staff, Masada muttered silently in her heart. Masada is able to use his quirk proficiently. It is because he has deliberately exercised since he was a child. For things like breakthroughs on the spot, Masada doesn't think he can do better than Bakugo. Advertisement. You have to work harder. The students around are very strong. The next game was Shoto Todoroki vs. Ida. At the beginning of the game, Iida still wanted to use the old strategy, and instantly turned on the piston engine, hugged Boom's waist, and wanted to use his explosive speed to throw him out of the field. However, Honga's not Mina. After seeing Iida's speed, he was prepared long ago. The moment Iida touched him, he also placed his right hand on the fumarole of Iida's calf. And when Iida was halfway through the sprint, he found that his body was no longer motivated, just as if he had stalled. Didn't notice at all. Looking back, seeing that his engine had been frozen by ice scum, Iida was surprised to hear that the ability of this ice was really hard to guard against. And Iida, who had lost the greatest reliance on speed, could only let himself be frozen in the ice and missed the finals. Hey, I'll fight you in the next game, right? Bye. You have to be merciful then. After a short break, the last game before the final will be ushered in, that is, the duel between Shanta and Yaoyorozu Hyaku. At this moment, the two of them are already on standby in the lounge. Stop talking to me, you haven't explained to me clearly what you just happened. It made me worry for so long in vain. Hearing Masada's irrelevant words, Yaoyorozu turned his head proudly, and didn't show him a good face at all. Actually, that ability can be considered as I just developed it recently. You can understand it as immune attack, but it consumes a lot of physical strength, so I don't use it frequently. Faced with the person closest to him, Masada naturally did not retain the basic characteristics of elementalization. In fact, the use of elementalization in the confrontation with Bakugo just now is also suspected of wanting to be forced, otherwise it is more than enough to avoid that blow at a normal speed. But since it is not a real villain's, Masada also chose a frontal hard fight. In his mind, facing an attack, just use a stronger attack to fight back. It's really ridiculous. Let's talk about it first, and don't let me down later. I also want to try to see what level 1 I'm right now. After hearing Masada's explanation, Yaoyorozu's expression softened. Yeah, but my overkill tricks are impossible to use. Although it can be controlled, if I accidentally hurt me, I won't feel sorry for it. Yaoyorozu's 100 requirements make it a little difficult for Masada. If you don't let the water go, you must use Quirk, but if you use Quirk, the attack power is too big, so this kind of competition is really not suitable for you. I always feel a little bit fearful. It's better to fight villains more easily. Advertisement. In the last game before the final, Igarashi Masada, who has overwhelming power, played against Yaoyorozu Momo. Seeing the two people walking into the ring, Class A exploded here. This is good, I don't know if Masada can do it. Kaminari, who is loyal to doing things, is gloating. After all, the close relationship between Masada and Yaoyorozu is not a secret in Class A. Kirishima, do you think that Masada will be domestically abused after he goes back? The grapes that hated in the qualifiers are not too small to make a fuss at this time. I don't think Yaoyorozu will be really serious. She was so worried about Masada. Asui Suyu, who was next to him, expressed a different opinion, but she saw with her own eyes how worried Yaoyorozu looked just now. However, her conjecture was quickly defeated without attacking it. Give me the trick, Zhengma. The moment Yaoyorozu stepped on the broadcast station, Yaoyorozu shook his hand, took out 2 grenades and threw it towards Masada, without a trace of holding his hand. Hey, for money, this is too ruthless, right? Can we be more peaceful? Seeing the flying grenade, Masada didn't panic either. With a wave of his hand, a magma wall stood in front of him, blocking all the offensive generated by the grenade explosion. And seeing that Masada has no desire to take the initiative to attack, Yaoyorozu also used this time to create a simple machine gun. Of course, the power is definitely incomparable with the real one, and it can be painful at best, but it is better. The rate of fire is fast, and the bullets can also be created by themselves. Da. The muzzle burst into flames, and the bullets in a line hit the Masada. It's useless, you know that these attacks are nothing to do with me. I was a little puzzled, I always felt that I was used as a target for practice. Masada waved out a magma wall again, the bullet hit the thick and hard lava and made a ding and clanging sound, and then fell weakly. Come down. Chapter 79 Domestic Violence Scene. Advertisement. Then this trick. Although the lava wall blocked the attack, it also blocked Masada's vision. As Yaoyorozu's voice sounded outside the wall, a cylinder flew over the wall. This is flash bomb. The cylinder exploded on top of Masada's head, emitting a dazzling light. Under the strong light, Masada couldn't help but raise his eyes. Although he closed his eyes, Masada's senses were not only his eyes. He felt a sudden gust of wind around him and blocked him with his arms. Boom! A black iron rod hit the grandma's arm, making a sound of golden and iron crow. Has this been avoided? Damn it! Yaoyorozu had quickly bypassed the magma wall in a short period of time just now, thinking of a sneak attack, but he did not expect to be blocked when the opponent's eyes were invisible. I've said that these little tricks are useless. Feeling the light from the top of his head dissipate, Jung opened his eyes too much, and looked at Yaoyorozu, who was clenching his teeth but was inexplicably cute, and said with a headache. Cut. Less proud. Knowing that he couldn't compete with the guy in front of him, Yaoyorozu consciously let go of the iron rod and stepped back to a distance that he thought was safe. 280. It's an all-round suppression. From a tactical point of view, what Yaoyorozu has just done is undoubtedly great. Whether it is the choice of props or the timing of the attack, it is very good. Unfortunately, it is still under the absolute strength gap. It's useless. The half-eyed Mr. Aizawa expressed his opinion next to Mr. Mike. Compared with when the school just started, 50 Post seems to be more proficient in the manipulation of Quirk, which also allows him to better control it. Power. Can I only say that I am a genius? As expected, all the teachers working at Shongying have a brush. The old-fashioned Aizawa Shota has already noticed the changes in Masada. All Might, who was on the side, heard it and didn't make a sound. He naturally knew why Jungtae had changed so much, but it is better not to let too many people know about this kind of thing now. Advertisement. I remembered the last move in the confrontation between Masada and Bakugo just now. Even if he was asked to comment, it can only be said that it is a kind of extreme destructive power, and given time, it may really surpass himself. Yaoyorozu has nothing to do with Masada now. The various grenades that he can quickly produce at present CDEI do not work for him, and to win through close combat, he has never thought about it. Since he entered junior high school, he is at home. Those security guards are no longer his opponents, let alone the current self, and the only way to win is to create more power. Powerful heavy weapons too. Seeing Jungta standing in place, as if waiting for him to attack, Yaoyorozu Hyaku also sank his heart and set about making a more powerful weapon. Take it. One by one, small balls were thrown out of her hand, and they quickly approached Masada, and when they were in the air, the shells of these balls also cracked and turned into a series of mechanical arms, just like a mechanical spider. A high-tech product. Yaoyorozu Wan's weapons are really endless. I can't recognize what it is anymore. In terms of knowledge reserves, perhaps the entire Shongying is the only Mr. Principal who can compare with Yaoyorozu. Mike is a little embarrassed at this time. After spending so many years with Yaoyorozu, Masada naturally recognizes what these spiders are. This is a kind of small power generating device. If it is glued, those mechanical legs will be inserted into your skin, and then the electric current will be released. It paralyzes the human body, but it will not cause death. It's so merciless. What if you power me down? There were meaningless words on her mouth, but Masada's expression was very relaxed. One arm was directly wrapped in a layer of magma and she waved quickly in front of her, and the spider plunged into the magma, instantly gave out blue smoke, and then was engulfed in hot magma. Are you not ready yet? What kind of killer is it? Seeing Yaoyorozu, who was harassing and creating while the other side was still creating, Masada became curious too. Most people give up long ago for this kind of sake, and Yaoyorozu must have confidence in his next moves, and have persisted until now. I'm really curious about what present Baihui will give me. While thinking of Masada, he casually dealt with the various hidden weapons that flowed in. Finished. At this time, the things Yaoyorozu had spent a lot of time making finally appeared in front of everyone. This is canon. It seems that Yaoyorozu Wan's title can be called a weapon expert. Teacher Mike is playing his chilling aesthetics of text again. Advertisement. Don't you think I'm afraid of such old-fashioned artillery? Looking at the dark muzzle in front of him, Masada asked. I'll know if it's useful. Facing the somewhat curious words of Masada, Yaoyorozu Bai is confident at this time, obviously confident in his secret weapon. Emission. As the fuse was ignited, a huge white cannonball also flew out of the hole. White. The audience was numb to the various weapons in Yaoyorozu's hands, and did not worry about why this shell is so strange. Boom. Quote. However, this shell did not hit Masada, but exploded in midair, and scattered white objects. The temperature has dropped. This huge shell, is it one? Dry ice. Feeling that the temperature in the arena was taken away for an instant, Mr. Mike said Doxon. The audience also suffered. The temperature of this dry ice is not comparable to ordinary ice, and the ability of dry ice to absorb heat is very strong. With such a huge amount of dry ice scattered on the venue, everyone only feels that they are in the wasteland of Siberia at this time. The temperature in the field was even lower. Masada, who was surrounded by dry ice, was the first to bear the brunt. There was only one sports suit that had been burned in half, as if he had gone to the South Pole for a vacation. Want to use low temperature to defeat me? Very good idea. Feeling the coldness that was constantly trying to invade his body, Masada shuddered severely. Although he was not afraid of the cold, he still couldn't resist tens of degrees below zero. But I won't just fall down like this. Looking at Yaoyorozu, who had already put on a cold-proof suit, he smiled too much, and his body was hot. Chapter 80 Hitoshi Shinso. Advertisement. Scorching Hell. The upgraded version of the magma zone is a move to create a large amount of high-temperature magma in an instant. I saw Masada's hand suddenly turn bright red, and the rolling lava gushed out from both arms, fell to the ground, accumulated continuously, and soon turned into a small pond. The dry ice covering the site is also not to be outdone. It constantly absorbs the heat from the magma to cool and solidify into volcanic rock. At first glance, it seems to have formed a balance. However, the amount of dry ice is limited, but the rate of magma gushing out is getting faster and faster. Soon the dry ice on the ground completely turns into gas and disappears. Instead, bright red viscous magma is surging on the ground. There's no way, just don't know if Masada can hold liquid nitrogen, but I can't make that thing now. Referee, I surrender. Yaoyorozu, who was unable to win after doing all he could, gave in simply. Hearing Yaoyorozu's words, Jungta felt a twitch in her heart. Is this trying to murder her husband? The temperature of liquid nitrogen is minus 196 degrees Celsius. Jungta doesn't want to use his body to feel the terrifying low temperature. After this battle, it was the finals. Because Masada's moves destroyed the broadcast station in a mess, it was necessary to clean the field before the next game could be played. Humming a little tune, Masada was about to walk back to the stands to take a rest, but found a familiar figure sitting not far away. Isn't this heart trouble? Why sit here alone? After recognizing it, Masada also recognized this Green Valley's opponent. He was knocked out in the first place, but he remembered deeply. Igarashi classmate, what can I do? Seeing a smiling Zhengma, she worried about the indifferent response. It's okay, just come to say hello to you. Suddenly, Masada felt that his body was out of control. It's careless, I really envy people like you. Seeing that Masada was tricked under his quirk, he was worried about putting his hands in his pockets, and said with disdain. What do you envy? Quote. The heart that had already turned around, heard Masada's answer, and his eyes suddenly widened. Your quirk is very good, can it control other people's body? It is very practical and very strange ability. Advertisement. Recalling the feeling of being out of control just now, Jung sighed too much. If it weren't for the extraordinarily powerful cells, you might not be able to get rid of it. Call. Without asking why the other party can move around freely, he was overwhelmed, as if he didn't want to talk to Masada. You were born with the ideal quirk, and those who can realize their dreams as you wish will not understand me. After a while, a voice without temperature uttered from the heart of the heart. Ideal quirk. Hearing the words of Shintai, Masada combined with such a powerful ability of Shintai to be placed in the ordinary class, and she also understood the other party's thoughts. Because I don't think my quirk is a hero S. There was no answer to Masada, and she just sat in a chair without saying a word. Since junior high school, because of my brainwashing quirk, I have not been trusted by my classmates. Even I think so. If someone gains this power, they definitely want to do bad things in the first place. This strength is more suitable for criminals. Because this power can only be used on humans. So the entrance exam for Hero S was eliminated. Seeing that the other party ignored him, Masada continued to ask. Now he is more and more interested in the quirk that he is worried about. Don't be so indifferent, I think your quirk is super strong. You can subdue villains with no effort, without causing damage, isn't it cool? How about coming to my Hero S office in the future? Feeling that the heart satisfaction in front of me is a person of great potential, Jung did not hesitate to invite him. Your Hero S office. What, did you decide to go out after graduation? When Shin Sao heard Jung Tai's invitation, she also asked. That's right, I want the strongest and most free person, so a Hero S office of my own is a must. How about it? 2 people have agreed to join so far, do you want to think about it? Masada's enthusiasm caught Shinfu a little bit. He hadn't felt this kind of person who treated himself sincerely for a long time. You just are not afraid that I will use this power to do bad things. Even control you. Faced with the doubts of the heart, she smiled heartily. Didn't you just said that? Do you also have your own dream? Do you want to be Hero S? What's more, I don't think that someone who has been working hard to move towards Hero S will do it's a moth that endangers society. Advertisement. For flowers. Besides, didn't you see it just now? Your quirk has very weak control over me, so let me be your restraint. Your ability will shine in my Hero S office. Masada's heartfelt words, like a ray of sunlight, opened a gap in the heart that had long been covered by mist. Let you be my shackle. It was the first time I heard this statement, and it was the first time I met someone whose quirk didn't work, and my heart was a little moved. A shackle that can treat each other completely sincerely, it sounds good. 0. The indifferent expression on his face melted a little, and he turned his head and looked at Masada's eyes. Your invitation is very interesting. If I don't have a good place to go after graduation, I will consider it. Moreover, Even if I lose miserably this time, I will definitely enter the Hero S subject, get the Hero S license, and become a Hero S. In addition, a faint smile appeared on Xin Chao's face for the first time, as the future number 1, should you also prove that you are qualified to invite me in the next game? Prove myself. Hearing the heart-worried words, I laughed too much. Ha ha ha, although I don't really care about other people's opinions, I think it's a reassurance. Just sit here and look at me. After saying this, Masada turned and walked to her seat, leaving a silent heart. I will be a Hero S for sure. He squeezed his fists, and his heart was strengthened. What happened? How come you laugh so happy? Since there was no injury in the game just now, but a lot of fat was consumed, Yaoyorozu is now taking in a lot of high-calorie food. With a smirk on his face, Masada came to Yaoyorozu and sat down beside Hyakua Cha-Cha. Faced with Yaoyorozu's questions and Cha-Cha's curious eyes, Masada did not hide. I met a very nice guy, maybe he will become our partner in the future. Ju. Chapter 81 Decisive Battle. Advertisement. With the help of professional hero S. Xiangying quickly completed the reconstruction of the site after removing the lava made by Masada. And the final of the sports festival is also imminent. The boy who was born with everything, the master of ice and fire, Shoto Todoroki. Along the way, he defeated villains with a crushing posture, the master of magma to the extreme, Igarashi Masada. The champion will be expelled between the two of them. The most anticipated game has finally arrived. I believe I don't need to introduce the two sides in the battle. You have been following them for a long time. Who will get the champion of this sports festival? Game start. Hearing Mike's announcement, the audience instantly boiled up. In previous years, there was no such a wonderful matchup. I have to say that the quality of Xiangying's freshman is really good. Kirishima, who do you support? Kaminari Denki stretched his arm and asked Kirishima Ajiro next to him. Of course I am optimistic about Masada. His fists are really hard. I am far from enough. As Masada's best friend, Kirishima, who had just fought with him, said his answer without hesitation. Even if I knew that I was healed, there was still a slight pain in the place where I was hit in my chest. I think Boom will win. Kaminari, who has very Quirk hair, expressed a different view. It always feels like Masada is the kind of violent fighter, and he will be kite flying in the face of this elemental wizard. I can't tell, Kaminari is still a teenager who likes to play games. But this warrior can also be magical. You also watched the game just now, and Junta's long-range attack is also very strong. Shiro Honta from behind also joined in, but he was still a little bit worried about being hit by a pregnant. Amid the discussion among the classmates, the two people at the center of the topic also stood on the ring. Advertisement. How about, will you fight with all your strength? Seeing that the face on the other side returned to that cold look, Jung asked casually. Bang used the action to tell Jung Tai's answer, and lightly tapped the ground with his right foot, and a cone of ice pierced towards him. Bing. This breath is really uncomfortable. Feeling the chill that hits, Masada, who is Magma, instinctively felt a trace of disgust. Magma spread out on his arm, and a few Magma fists went out. Woolen cloth. The Magma fist collided with the ice, and the ice was instantly melted, but the heat in the Magma fist was also completely absorbed by the ice, and it cooled down and turned into a rock and fell to the ground. The two sides made a tentative attack. It seems to be on the same level at the moment. Igarashi's unfavorable Magma finally met his opponent. The element system was originally a kind of scarce quirk, let alone a powerful element system, but two appeared directly in this game, and the audience looked at the arena without blinking their eyes. It seems that this is not ordinary ice. Ordinary ice can't stop my Magma. It seems that you have developed your quirk very well. The temperature of the blasted ice is much lower than that of ordinary ice. I am afraid it has to be 20 to 30 degrees below zero. This is the reason why he has used this quirk for a long time. Scorching hell. Facing this kind of opponent whose quirk is the opposite of his own, Masada chose to transform the terrain into a suitable environment for him first. The thick magma formed a pond under the body and continued to spread. The smell of sulfur came out of the arena, and the temperature that had dropped just now rose by several degrees in an instant. Looking at the bright red lava that was approaching towards him, with a wave of his right hand, a thick ice wall lay across in front of him, trying to stop the hot lava on the ground. The sound of ice and fire melting continues to be heard between the ice and magma. The magma is constantly being cooled, but more magma is coming up from behind. The ice is also constantly melting and evaporating in the high temperature, but it is constantly booming in the case of urging the quirk. It was actually a tie again. Seeing that the other party didn't want to make her wish, Masada also gave up the idea of turning the broadcaster into a magma belt. Even if it goes on like this, it will definitely be too much for the first time, but the victory won by such a fight is too unnecessary. He needs an upright victory. It seems that using quirk uninterruptedly puts a heavy burden on your body. Advertisement. The mist dissipated, and a slight panting came into Masada's eyes. At this time, there is a thin layer of frost covering the right half of his body. It seemed that he was determined not to talk to Masada. He squatted down and touched the ground with his right hand. Dense ice thorns emerged from the ground, attacking Masada based on the boom. There is no advantage in the frontal confrontation, so I decided to attack from under the feet. The idea is good, but the strength is too weak. Big Spitfire. The huge lava fists quickly formed, and the high temperature made the people around feel that their skin was about to crack. Under Masada's actions, the lava giant fist that occupied most of the field moved, casting a large shadow on the broadcast platform, and even the clouds in the sky were dyed red. As this Igarashi classmate's trick, with such a huge fist, can the explosion be stopped? The cement shot teacher under the stage also immediately built a thick wall around the ring to prevent accidental injuries caused by splashing magma. In front of this giant fist, the ice thorn on the ground was like tofu, and it was directly smashed by the huge force, but the lava fist continued to push forward with unabated momentum. Looking at the lava fist that was pressing against him, the pupils of the boom shrank for a while. This is no longer the same as the little fight just now, it's a real trick to fight for life. Feeling the already stiff body on his right side, he shook his teeth and spurred Hanbing's quirk again. The iceberg from the previous battle with Zero rose from the ground and slammed into the fire. 4.8. The offensives on both sides are terrifying. Magma and ice, these two extreme forces, did the magma swallow the ice, or did the ice freeze the magma? Don't care about the outcome of the game at this moment, cheer to your heart's content. Looking at the completely changed terrain in the sight, half of it is hot lava billowing and flowing, and the other half is hard and cold black ice standing on it. The two sides are distinct, like a miniature, punk facade. Although the scene in front of us was shocking and mesmerizing, the audience suffered. The audience on the side of Masada was sweating profusely and wanted to take off all their clothes. On the side of the boom, the audience was shivering with their tightly wrapped clothes. So, when the two strong meet, which one wins and which loses? Chapter 82 Magma and Flame. Advertisement. Iceberg. It's really hard. Feeling the resistance from his fist, Masada also has a new understanding of the strength of boom. With such power, it is no wonder that Green Valley will lose to you. Whether it is quirk, body, or reaction, it completely exceeds the level that a freshman should have. When he said this, Masada seemed to forget that he was only a freshman in high school, or that his vision was not limited to the school at all. However, this alone is not enough. The flow of magma on the arm suddenly accelerated, and the thick arm swelled again. Break it for me. With a sudden force, the red light on the lava fist became more intense, and the temperature became even hotter at this moment. There was already some dangerous ice that had already melted at this moment. Woolen cloth. In the end, the huge iceberg was pierced by the terrifying lava, and the lava submerged in the iceberg burst violently in it, breaking the solid ice in an instant, and finally evaporating in the flames. Even so, big 23 block of ice has evaporated. Terrifying temperature. Teacher Mike was dumbfounded when he saw the result. Even if the professional hero S faced this trick, there was no good way. As a result, Masada defeated it with force. Compared to the time when the silt monster was much stronger. All Might is the one who has seen Masada's fire-breathing trick. Compared with a year ago, the current Masada has improved a lot in every aspect. This speed of improvement made him a little relieved. After the explosion of the iceberg, Masada did not continue to punch, and drew his arm from the magma, and large chunks of lava fell from the sky, making the originally unbearable broadcaster even more broken. Why, it seems that you have reached the limit. The speed of ice formation just now seems to be a lot slower. With the current boom, a thick layer of frost has formed on the right half of his body, which completely hindered his actions and greatly reduced his ability to react and think. Who? He exhaled a few breaths of cold breath, and Hung spoke for the first time since the start of the game. Currently I am not your opponent. I think. To shut up. Advertisement. Being interrupted by Masada's sudden words, Boom was a little confused. Does your aura only have such a small amount? Do you just want to use this aura to surpass number 1? Looking coldly at Boom, who seemed to have lost his fighting spirit, he spoke too much. The first place is the title that can only be held by the person who can't lose. The person who shrinks in the face of setbacks is not worthy of this title. Seeing that it was different from the past, with a serious face, he recalled his past. He has undergone cruel training since he was 5 years old. When watching others play, he can only face the cold training ground. I have been loving my mother very much, and slowly, the look in my eyes is a bit wrong. When she poured boiling water on herself, her mother was no longer seen at home. I told you before, there is no right or wrong in power, the difference lies only in the person who uses it. Masada's words came over again. Because of the grievances in my heart, I chose not to face my true self. This is just a weak behavior. In her mind, her mother's words seemed to become clear. Once upon a time, she could smile and say to herself, Xiao Jiao Dong wants to be a hero S2, right? If you want, you can be free from the shackles of this blood relationship and be yourself, just the person you want to be. At this moment, facing an invincible opponent, and recalling what his mother had said, Boom's body moved. It's not just you who want to be number 1. A monstrous flame swept across the left half of his body, and the frost on his body also melted under the flames, and the body returned to normal again. Scorched. Seeing this scene of blasting the flame ability, it was not Masada who made the first sound. Finally, are you willing to accept your own strength? Very good, very good. This game will be your new starting point. Inherit my blood and surpass me. Then realize my ambitions. Endeavor in the stands was completely excited at this time, and the flames on his body were igniting. Step by step, he walked to the forefront of the stands and roared loudly. Ah, I can't speak as usual. Advertisement. Listening to Endeavor's words, the wife who knew his family's internal affairs only felt embarrassed that she was about to commit cancer. This was simply pushing her son out. Ignoring his father's yelling, Bang just stared at the Masada in front of him at this time. Your words really make sense, but now I don't have time to think slowly. Now I just want to do my best to defeat you. A fiery flame stretched out from the arm and turned into a roaring fireball to hit Masada. Finally, my mind has turned the corner. Very good. This is the opponent I want. Looking at the huge fireball that came, I was too surprised and rejoiced, so I opened my hands to meet the flames coming towards my face. Puff. The fireball hit Masada fiercely and burned on him. At this time, Masada turned into a burning man. The Quirk used the flame for the first time in the game. It was also the first time I hit classmate Igarashi. Is this attack effective? Looking at the fireman in front of him, there was a solemn flash in Boom's eyes. His control of flames is not as delicate as ice, and can only be used roughly in this way, but in terms of attack power, facing carbon-based creatures, flames are definitely it is much stronger than ice. This feeling, very good. Jungtai, who was bathed in flames 280, suddenly opened. Then, a crimson light appeared from the flame, and magma began to flow on his body. The flame that was still raging just now shrank immediately after encountering the magma, and the fire gradually decreased, and when the scope of the magma flow expanded, it was continuously swallowed and disappeared. Although I don't know how your flame burns, but it doesn't seem to be able to burn my magma. Entrapped in the crimson liquid, Masada's appearance at this time was a bit cruel. Although the temperature of the flame is theoretically much higher than that of magma, for example, decyanoacetylene burns in oxygen, and the temperature can reach about 5,000 degrees, which is much higher than the boiling point of the main component of magma, silica, which is 2,200 degrees. But magma is a non-flammable liquid produced under high pressure, so it can extinguish flames. And even though this temperature can make the magma evaporate, it takes a process to evaporate. Just like the boiling point of water is only 100 degrees, the flame of an alcohol blowtorch is more than 2,000 degrees, but only a little water can extinguish it. In other words, Masada's ability can be said to be the nemesis of the flame system. There are a lot of things at the beginning of school. Let me go ahead and wait for a while. If there is time, the code will still be changed. Please be considerate. Chapter 83 Champion. Advertisement. Is it useless for the flame to take him? Seeing that his flame did not cause direct damage to Masada, Bang was also a little surprised. At this moment, he can understand Bakugo's previous mood. The opponent is completely invaded by water and fire. Even now, Masada's face did not show fatigue. And although he used the ability of fire to touch the frozen sequelae, his physical exertion was real. Boom is also very clear about his position. He is not good at close combat. If he is barely fighting, he may not be Kirishima's opponent. His advantage lies in the attack distance and the strength of the Quirk, so he has been fighting with Masada from the beginning of the fight. Strike up against each other. And Masada is also happy, since the other party wants to give play to his own advantages, then he will beat him where he is best. Is there anything you can do about it? Seeing the boom that stopped the action, Masada asked. It's also fortunate that I met myself and replaced it with someone else hitting the fireball just now. The severe burns are probably considered minor. The two powerful quirks are concentrated on one person, and it is worthy of being a surrender. Without saying a word, Boom began to keep sending flames towards Masada. It was a bit strange to see that the other party knew that the flame was not effective on him, and was still doing useless work. How long will such a monotonous attack last? Once again, he smashed a tongue of fire. At this time, the remaining ice cubes on the field had all turned into steam, and there was only a piece of scorching heat left in the arena, which made people feel like they were in a volcanic crater about to erupt. Hearing Masada's question, he raised his head and looked at the sky. It's almost there, although I don't know if this can limit your abilities. Seeing the other party's movements, Masada followed and looked at the top of his head. This is. Just now, Masada, who was dealing with the opponent's attack, realized that the originally clear sky was already covered with dark clouds. It turned out to be the use of the temperature change in the field to generate the rising airflow, which eventually turned into a cumulonimbus cloud. Is it to rely on rain to weaken the power of my quirk? The dark clouds above had already accumulated a lot of rain at this time, and a heavy rain soon formed. Boom used his own wisdom to change the weather. Does he have any deep meaning in doing this? Looking at the magma that had cooled down under the action of rain in the venue, and the two people who had become rookies, Class A discussed again. Classmate H is really amazing. When fighting with me, I didn't use such exaggerated tricks at all. Sure enough, I still need to continue to work hard. Advertisement. It was Midoriya Izuku, who was severely injured before, who was talking. At this time, he was already able to walk around and came to watch the final. Then what am I? Setro Honta drooped his eyelids and vomited. However, the rainwater has really great restrictions on the quirk of Masada. Under such heavy rain, the temperature of the battle magma will be greatly reduced, and the existence time will be shortened a lot. Holding the glasses, Ida analyzed rationally. Moreover, in such a humid environment, the power of the booming ice quirk will be correspondingly enhanced, right? Now it's hard to say the outcome. Shout. Hearing the students' discussion, Bakugo curled his lips in disdain. He, who confronted Masada head-on, already knew a little bit about Masada's quirk. The most powerful thing about magma is not temperature, but the ultimate explosive power brought by high pressure. Even from his point of view, Masada's previous trick, Ming Dog, was amazing. Just the fist wind he brought would blow oneself away, and if he hit it head-on, he would be shattered. Yaoyorozu Hyakwa Cha-Cha also thinks that Masada will not lose. Yaoyorozu 100 is because he gets along with Junta day and night. I am afraid that he is the person in this world who knows his strength best except for himself. Although the mere rain will have some obstacles, it can't affect his combat effectiveness at all. Cha-Cha was simply overwhelmed by the power before Jungtai, and the pure girl chose to trust him unconditionally. At this time, inside the site, the originally flat concrete floor has been covered by volcanic rock, and turned into an uneven terrain. The pouring rain hit the ground continuously and splashed water, forming small ponds. Feeling the cold temperature of the rain on his body, he launched an offensive. Faster than before, the bigger cone of ice is pressing toward Masada like a hill. It seems that such a rainy day has indeed increased the power. Faced with such an offensive, Masada's arm also raised. For a quirk like us, a favorable terrain is a huge addition to combat effectiveness, but in front of the bursting magma, it will turn me into ash. Heaven dog. A step moved the body forward. Even in rainy days, the red dazzling arms hit the huge iceberg fiercely. Are you stretched? Facing the huge iceberg, Igarashi didn't use the huge lava punch before. The audience was also very surprised. It stands to reason that in the face of such an attack, it should be a reasonable way to counterattack with the same huge lava, right? Advertisement. Before the fist and the ice cube touched, a large swath of water vapor exploded violently from between the two. The hard ice cube, under the huge force of Masada being spurred by the magma, directly collapsed into pieces. The hot fist wind evaporated the ice cubes along the way, straight towards the blast standing on the spot. And go. The power is too strong. Seeing the attack like a whirlwind, Heng quickly erected ice walls in front of him, but Masada never stopped, and after breaking the iceberg, he rushed quickly. The rain wanted to extinguish the temperature on Masada's body, but under the manic lava, it could only turn into plumes of white smoke. Get out for me. The ice wall along the way was like a piece of paper, shattering one after another under Masada's charge. Boom was also helpless at this time. Looking at the bright red fist in front of him, the rain on the tip of his nose seemed to have evaporated. Of course, Masada couldn't do such a thing as a killer against his classmates. After breaking through the defense of Boom, he also dissipated the temperature in his hand, and then hit him with an old punch. He had already overused the quirk's Boom. After using the huge iceberg again, his stamina was not enough to support him to make a strong counterattack, and he could only watch his fists fall on his body when he couldn't dodge. Roar. The knocked-out bomb crossed an arc in the air and fell outside the field. First grade zone. Champion of the Shangying Sports Festival, Hero S Class A Igarashi Masada. Always pay attention to the scene in the field. Seeing that Mr. Midnight, who had gone out of bounds, also announced the result of the game. For money, ooh. The audience stood up with excitement and slapped their palms. The ear-splitting cheers even penetrated through the dark clouds in the sky. This time the first-year competition area really opened their eyes, even in the previous third-year competition areas. There are rarely such fierce battles. Call. Jung on the field took a breath. Using so many tricks on the same day, the physical exhaustion is also very huge, and it is also thanks to his fast recovery speed, otherwise he will be tired and get down. I am a one champion. Turning his gaze to the stands, he happened to see a surprised look on his face. A wicked smile appeared at Shinsuo, Masada thought silently in his heart. Now you know how powerful this uncle is. Chapter 84 After the sports meeting. Advertisement. After the sports meeting is over, there will naturally be something like an award ceremony. In the final result of the competition, Shanta naturally took the first place, while the runner-up was Shoto Todoroki, and the third place was tied for Yaoyorozu Momo and Ida. Because Ida's family had something to leave beforehand, I hope everyone will be considerate. At this glorious moment, Ida was absent. It's a pity, Ida-san has worked so hard. Asui in the stand said regretfully, while Midoriya recalled what Ida had said to him before. Brother Ida, Ignium, don't get into trouble. Coming with a medal. The hearty words reached the ears of everyone present, and All Might descended from the sky with his iconic smile and landed right in front of the podium. As soon as All Might's sturdy body appeared, the audience uttered endless cheers. In this society he calmed down by his own efforts, the name All Might has such an influence. Yaoyorozu 10,000 girls, your quirk has unlimited possibilities. It is not just about creating weapons. I believe you can use your quirk better in the future. Putting a medal on Yaoyorozu, All Might came to Boom, and there was still a trace of confusion on Boom's face at this time. He met his father 283 just now. Although it is not clear whether he really hates him, the idea that he has been insisting on since childhood is not so easy to change. Congratulations, boy Boom. I am very happy that you can use your left body in the finals. Your future is bright. Use your strength. I also want to be a hero like you, but it is not enough to just untie my own knots. I have to confirm some things myself. There have been changes before the game. The biggest thing is that there are more words to say. All Might also saw these changes. After hugging him, he came to the champion of the sports festival. Hanging the gold medal on Masada's neck, All Might patted Masada's strong body. Igarashi boy, I am very happy that you fulfilled the promise you made to yourself before the game. Hearing All Might's praise, Masada was also very happy. After all, she used to target him. Although there are some differences now, a person like All Might is worthy of respect at all times. Advertisement. Although I don't think it is good to say to you, I still want to say. Seeing All Might's smile, Masada also grinned. I will surpass you in the future, All Might. After hearing Masada's words like a declaration of war, All Might not only did not get angry, but smiled brighter. The days when he can perform Hero's activities are getting fewer and fewer. What can be more happy than the rapid growth of a younger generation at this time? After awarding the medal, All Might also turned around and cleared his throat. This time the top 3 are them, but all the students present are likely to stand on this podium in the future. Just like everyone sees in the competition. Compete. Compete. Think of a higher and stronger realm to challenge. You are the new generation of heroes. Finally, I'm saying something. Please join me in cheering and shouting. Plus Ultra. Everyone has worked hard. The annual sports festival ended in this somewhat funny string of words. After the competition, Teacher Aizawa Shota announced a 2-day holiday, and during these 2 days, the school will also count the recruitment applications of the office. What a tiring day. CDEI after school, Masada, Yaoyorozu Hayek and Cha-Cha walked on the way home. The continuous battles made Masada a little overwhelmed. Why can't this sports festival be divided into 2 days? In this way, the school can make more extra money, right? But Xiangying guesses that there is no shortage of money. It's really amazing. Masada classmate. Cha-Cha, who had stopped in the top 16, walked to the front, turned around and said to Masada. It's nothing great, it's all the accumulation in usual times, and I'm far from bad enough. Facing the cute girl, Jung was too modest, and he couldn't help but think of the man who brought fear to himself for the first time, All For Own. Even after the transformation, I still can't imagine how to fight that man, so I can only rely on elementalization to deal with him, right? However, the physical strength that has been elementalized is also overwhelming. I am afraid that I was able to get away last time. Don't want to make things big. Advertisement. You are also very good, especially Cha-Cha. Bakugo has suffered a small loss under your hands, so let's beat him at this time next year. What about me? Don't you praise me? Yaoyorozu, who felt that he was being left out from the beginning, was originally full of joy and waited for Masada to praise himself, but in the end, he passed by and stared at him with his mouth pouting. Haha, of course Bai is the most powerful, but I was almost killed by your last trick. Come on, hold one. He swept the other party's shoulders, showing weakness. It was too big to show weakness, and the mouth was a bit of a loss, but there was no physical comfort. Feeling the warm and soft body of the other party, it was too awkward. Humph. Yaoyorozu did not push away the Masada, the blushing Yaoyorozu Baijiao groaned, and the setting sun pulled their backs very long. Leaving the school does not mean that everyone is free. I hurried to the hospital's Iida and saw my unconscious brother. After learning that his brother might not be able to engage in Hero's activities after being attacked by the Hero's killer, Iida planted a seed in his heart. On the other side, Shoto Todoroki also went to the hospital to visit his mother, whom he had not seen for nearly 10 years, and wanted to untie her heart. Midori Valley is thinking about how to master the method of ONEFORALL, which is exclusive to his own fighting method. While Bakugo is angry that he loses to Masada, he is also tempering his body, even Minoru Mineta is the color grape. I really want to see a swimsuit. Looking at the white thighs on the street, Mineta said to Kaminari next to him with a dull expression. At this time, the Masada 3 also returned home. Welcome back. The Zhengma who had just pulled out the key was stunned by the sudden opening of the door. Chapter 85 Surprise. Advertisement. Mom, are you back from vacation? It was Masada's mother who pushed the door open. At this moment, she was looking at the 3 people at the door with a smile on her face. Yes, come in, there are unexpected guests in the house. Guest. It's so strange. It's still a working day today. Who will be a guest at this time? Dad, Mom. As a result, as soon as he entered the living room, Cha-Cha saw his parents sitting on the sofa. Why are you here? Cha-Cha's parents are 2 middle-aged people with gentle faces, especially her mother. Cha-Cha and her are almost carved out of the same mold. Seeing the TT that was full of excitement and tears, the Uraraka couple also stood up and touched her head. Seeing the heroic figure of the precious girl fighting in blood, how could we still be able to sit still? So I came to condolences you. What about work? Are you here by Shinkansen? Cha-cha, who left home for the first time, seemed to have endless words to say to his parents. Masada and Yaoyorozu Hyaku also reserved space for their family and went to the kitchen. Oh, I forgot to say that, Xiao Yaoyorozu Wan, your mother will come here later. Seeing the two, Mrs. Igarashi who was cooking said to Yaoyorozu with a smile. Mum, too. Yaoyorozu Bai, who suddenly heard the news, was also taken aback. She had the impression that her parents were very busy, and they were running around for the company's affairs all day long. Yes, but your father won't be able to leave. Today is a celebration banquet for your three little heroes. Let's go to the party first, and we will have dinner when everyone is ready. Advertisement. Just so do you, show me the appearance of a master. But I heard that you let Cha-cha and Xiao Yaoyorozu eat supermarket bento in the past few days when I was away. Seeing a gleam in the eyes of his mother's raised eyes, Jung was too decisive and put on an awkward smile and couldn't speak. Mrs. Igarashi, who was very confident in her cooking skills, obviously had no plan to let the two of them intervene to help, so she pushed them out. I didn't expect it. It turns out that my parents are still watching me. Feeling the deep concern from his mother's eyes, Masada couldn't help but warm up. I believe that even a serious dad will have a smile on his face the moment he sees his victory. Since there is still some time to leave the meal, then I will take a bath first, and my body is sticky to death after a day. Masada had already simply washed her sportswear during the day because of the breakage of her sportswear, but Yaoyorozu hadn't changed her clothes after a day of exercise. She was a little uncomfortable at this time, who loves to be clean. Seeing that everyone in the family is busy with their own affairs, as if they are doing nothing, Masada decided to go downstairs to buy some drinks. Speaking of which, I really want to buy some wine to drink, but it's a pity that I won't sell it to me when I'm underage. Swinging slowly to the convenience store, looking at the people shuttled between the containers, and the familiar old and good salesman, I felt that my mood suddenly became clear. The leisurely life is really good. Suddenly I want to go back to the country to live for a few days. Masada's family also has a house in the country. When I was young, I would often live there for a few days during the summer vacation. But since I started junior high school, my parents' work has become busy, so I rarely go there. After walking aimlessly on the street a few times, it is clear that Xiangyang and this society are only separated by a wall, but this society is so peaceful and quiet. The quieter the surface, the stronger the darkness is often hidden. Thinking of the USJ being invaded, thinking of the ALLFO Roan still active in the dark, Masada reminded his relaxed heart, but he was still being stared at by the big boss of villains. I can't figure out who was in the surrounding crowd. Is his confidant? I am back. Carrying a few large bottles of orange juice, Masada returned to his home. After walking outside for a while, it didn't take long for Masada's father and Yaoyorozu's mother to also come. Although it was the first time for Yaoyorozu's mother and Cha-cha's parents to meet each other, because the children in the family were good friends, they also exchanged warm greetings when they met. Then congratulate our Masatajiang for winning the sports festival championship today. Advertisement. At the dinner table, Yaoyorozu's mother smiled and raised the cup to Jungtae. She is very familiar with Jungtae, and it can be said that she has grown up since she was a child. Of course there are Xiao Yaoyorozu Wan Cha-cha, we are watching the live broadcast this afternoon, they are really great. For flowers, Mrs. Igarashi and Cha-cha's parents apparently stayed at home in the morning, and I wanted to surprise her without telling Cha-cha on the phone. It's okay, I lost in the end. Hearing the compliments from Masada's mother, Cha-cha's blushing face became even more attractive at this time, and Yaoyorozu Bai also responded modestly. Masatajiang's ideals are really lofty. But my mother will always support you. For her precious son, Mrs. Igarashi was naturally not indifferent. She took a bite of food for Masada and cheered him up. Yes, and I also heard that Masada-chan wants to open his own hero's office in the future. It's a good idea, and my aunt is also very supportive. I don't know where to inquire about Masada's goal, Yaoyorozu's mother also spoke out. With the support of such a large company, the help for Masada is undoubtedly tremendous. Don't worry, and I have already incorporated Baihei Cha-cha, this will definitely be the best hero's office. Now there is no need to worry about future work. Hearing Mrs. Mass's words, the Uraraka couple, who were still a little worried that their daughter would give up their ideals because of family affairs, are now relieved. But we still need to pay attention to safety. As parents, we can only hope that you live a healthy life. Heroes is a dangerous profession after all. There are not a few people injured or even killed due to the activities of heroes. This is also the biggest flaw of the profession of heroes. Don't worry, I will protect them. In the face of the girl's parents, Masada obviously also said a bonus. Under the influence of Minoru Mineta, Masada's emotional intelligence is constantly improving, which can be regarded as a benefit collected by a boss. The happy dinner soon came to an end. Yaoyorozu's parents had to make the Shinkansen to go back, so after hugging Cha-cha, they hurriedly left, while Yaoyorozu's mother left with a smile, as if there is no plan to take his daughter home. It seems that our family needs one more member. Looking at Yaoyorozu, who bowed her head shyly in front of her, Mrs. Igarashi joked with her hands folded and smiled. After taking a shower, I put my hair down and my face is still blushing. Yaoyorozu is so cute. Chapter 86. Go to the amusement park. Advertisement. Ah, so boring. I suddenly feel free. On the morning of the first day of the holiday, both parents went to work, and there were only 3 Masada left in the house. At this moment, Masada was lying on the sofa like a salted fish and sighed. Obviously last night I said I wanted to live a peaceful life. Yaoyorozu walked out of the room with her hair tied up. Today's Yaoyorozu does not wear school uniforms, but wears a white shawl, and red and black skirts with wavy folds. Get up quickly. Today we are going to the amusement park. I have made an appointment with my classmates. Hearing this sudden news, Masada didn't get over a bit. Amusement park. Why did you suddenly think of going to such a place? In Masada's view, those amusement facilities are really nothing fun. After all, you can experience the feeling of a jumping machine with a single jump, so it is really interesting. Don't worry, we have already made an appointment anyway, and you have to go together. If we go out for a group of girls, you can relax. If I encounter a gangster, what I should worry about is whether they are still alive or leaving, right? Masada murmured silently in her heart. In yesterday's game, she didn't see any weak girls in her class. However, Yaoyorozu, who was in the unreasonable mode, dragged Masada off the sofa regardless of the 3721, and Cha-Cha also walked out of the room with a yawn. Yesterday's battle made this energetic girl somewhat can't bear it. I simply had breakfast. Since it was an appointment to meet with my classmates at the entrance of the amusement park, the 3 of them took the tram and went to the amusement park. As for why not take the private car at home, Yaoyorozu by means not wanting too much swagger. Because the amusement park is on the outskirts of the city, there are not many passengers, so the 3 also found a row of seats. Yaoyorozu sat by the armrest, communicating with the girls in the class through her mobile phone, and some sleepy-eyed Cha-Cha sat next to her, while Masada sat on the outermost side, and luckily acted as a pillow. Advertisement. The journey is very quiet, there are no old-fashioned idiots, but many male creatures have been staring at Masada with fierce eyes. After all, he came out with 2 lovely girls alone, which is more or less enviable. However, after Masada stared back fiercely, these people were also honest, but Masada had real blood on his hands, and of course he wouldn't lose to these ordinary people in terms of aura. About 30 minutes later, the 3 of them got off the tram. Not far from the platform is the gate of the amusement park. Across the road, you can see Mina standing at the gate waving her hand. You guys are so early, we are the latest. It's all because of this guy, Masada, who couldn't drag it in the morning. Seeing that the girls in the class were all there, Yaoyorozu was very decisive and threw the pot to the wife. Since today is not a weekend, there are not many people in the amusement park, so people like Masada who are caught in a group of flowers are even more eye-catching. So in the amusement park, Masada received a lot of people's attention, and most of them were malicious. If his eyes could kill people, he would be full of holes now. During the period, there was also an episode. When buying tickets, Yaoyorozu was very happy to take out his bank card to help everyone pay the bill, and said that all the expenses today were paid by himself, which made the rest of the class. The girls' eyes looked a little strange at Masada. I'm not being treated like eating soft rice, am I? Masada thought silently, but looking at Yaoyorozu's body and gorgeous face, it seems that eating soft rice is also very good. Since then, Masada's family status has been even lower. It's been a long time since I came to the amusement park. Be sure to play hard. After regaining sleep on the tram, Cha-Cha, full of blood, resurrected at this time, holding her fist high and leading the way, and the tips of her hair were jumping up and down with her pace. Yes, it seems that I haven't come often since I was in junior high school. Asui also pointed his mouth with his finger, and said thoughtfully. Masada was hanging on the back, with her hands in her pockets, and following a group of chirping girls. It was also very uncomfortable. So where shall we go first? Yaoyorozu, who looks like an eldest sister, asks everyone for their opinions. Advertisement. Roller coaster. Mina raised her hand with excitement. Reconsideration. What Ling Masada didn't expect was that Cha-Cha also looked forward to it. Obviously you can float in the sky, right? You're still interested in roller coasters, Cha-Cha. Masada also asked the doubts in her heart very directly. After all, everyone was acquaintance. Roller coasters are the most popular item. The excitement of the rapid rise and fall can't be achieved by Quirk. Then let's take a look together, and it seems that the roller coaster here is highly rated on the internet. 283. Jiro, who is very handsome in his outfit, raised his mobile phone to show everyone the comments on the internet. After deciding on the itinerary, everyone walked to the roller coaster location according to the map on the pamphlet issued when entering the park. Sure enough, it's the hottest project. Upon seeing it, everyone understood why there was no one in the amusement park anymore, and the emotions came here to line up. Looking at the length of this team, it is estimated that it will not be possible to play in less than half an hour. Since it's here, wait a minute, anyway, it's still early. I really came. Masada also advised everyone to line up fortunately, and finally came here, so I definitely can't leave any regrets. Just as Masada expected, the roller coaster that is very exciting for ordinary people is not worth mentioning for the outstanding heroes in the Hero S department. Although the excitement was missing, because it was a group activity, everyone got off the roller coaster with excitement and looked at the photos taken by the staff. Next to the haunted house. After experiencing the most popular items, everyone wandered around in the amusement park, and when passing by a chic-looking building, Cha-Cha made suggestions. Chapter 87 JK Girl in Haunted House. Advertisement. For the haunted house project, there is no need to line up, but only 4 people can enter at a time. Then we will set off first. A piece of clothing said to Yaoyorozu by, it was Yi Yin. After everyone's grouping, it was finally decided that Mina, Asui, Jiro and Yi Yin would enter first, then Masada and Yaoyorozu Hayakochacha. This is also the result of negotiation after everyone does not want to be an electric light bulb. She hadn't been spotted before. What a terrifying ability. Actually, the author forgot. After the first batch of advanced teams entered, Masada also observed this haunted house. I have to say that in terms of appearance, the amusement park is still very careful. The door of the haunted house is shaped like a ghost with a green face and piercing teeth, and the entrance is the big mouth of the blood basin, and the ghost eyes are still shining red, which makes people feel horrible. Seeing Cha-Cha with a look of excitement, Jung couldn't help but complain about what happened to the girls now. But Yaoyorozu Hyaku is a little scared, as if feeling cold, he hugged his arms. Well, can I go in with you later? Suddenly, a pleasant voice came from behind. Looking back, a lovely girl with beige hair and wearing a JK uniform stood pretty cutely behind her. Seeing this girl with her hair tied into 2 balls and showing her little tiger teeth slightly, Masada was also stunned, but she was also someone who had met the world, and soon Masada answered her politely. Of course, we only have 3 people. Since you are here, you must abide by the rules. Yaoyorozu Hyakuhei Cha-Cha has no objection, after all, the other party does not seem to be a bad person. After about 10 minutes, the Mina 4 came out of the haunted house. It's terrible. My heart is almost scared out. Yi Yin's body seemed to be beating, because her clothes were flying. To be honest, people may feel even more scared when they see an empty dress floating in the air and still make a sound. Advertisement. Although I know that the ghosts inside are all pretending to be staff members, I still feel a little flustered. Even Asui, who has always been calm, said to Yaoyorozu Hyaku at this time. Yaoyorozu Bai, who became more flustered as he listened, was holding Masada's arm tightly at the moment, and he was a little far away from the ghosts in the myth. At this time, after hearing them brag, they just wanted to stay outside and not go in. Don't worry, how can it be so horrible? The big deal is that when you close your eyes, I will just take you away. Since it's here, I can't retreat temporarily, and under the drag of Junta and Cha-Cha, he dragged the scared Yaoyorozu into the haunted house. As soon as I entered the haunted house, the light suddenly dimmed, as if I had entered a terrifying hell. The air is intertwined with dark red light, and the air conditioning hits from the ceiling, making people feel more immersive. There is also the cold wind that hangs from the ears from time to time, making a whistling sound. As far as the environment is concerned, the haunted house is definitely well done. However, wow, the location of this lighting arrangement is really hidden. What material is the floor? How soft, like a trampoline. The tongue of the hanged ghost in front is crooked. Obviously it should be said in the middle. The nervous TT seemed to be affected by the surrounding atmosphere. Driven by a strong curiosity, they kept asking questions, so that the 4 people walking in the passage did not feel the horror at all. Yaoyorozu Bai also let go of his heart at this time, and grabbed Cha-Cha's arm, giving himself a great sense of security, completely without the timid appearance when he entered the haunted house just now. On the way, some staff members were dressed in weird costumes, dressed as werewolves and ghosts to scare them, but they were all pierced by the sharp-eyed Cha-Cha, which made Yaoyorozu give her another high look. The haunted house lacks the element of horror, and naturally it is very boring, so Cha-Cha and Yaoyorozu also speed up and want to go out quickly. Masada was about to catch up, only to find that the corner of her clothes was pulled, and she looked back at the JK girl who had followed him from the beginning. Well, you are Igarashi classmate from Shangying High School. At this time, the JK girl raised her head and asked innocently. Is it that I am so famous now? Even a young girl who meets on the road can recognize him. Is it true that it is Shangying? The influence is really big. Masada thought narcissistically, and cleared her throat and replied. Advertisement. Yes, I am Igarashi Masada. Let me say it first. I don't have a pen for signatures. Obviously, Masada has already regarded the girl in front of her as a little fan of her. Hearing the words of the wife, JK girl's cheeks suddenly turned red. I call me, Himiko Toga. While introducing herself, the JK girl suddenly posted it. Well, can you stay away first? Now Masada's hand doesn't know where to put it, so she can only hold it high. She hasn't known the beautiful blonde girl for 5 minutes and suddenly throws her arms around. What should we do? Masada expressed anxiousness. However, The other party didn't seem to pay any attention to what he meant at all, and just said to himself. You can flow out of magma, right? That red color is almost the same as blood. Cross me, cross I love you so much. While talking, the girl who claimed to be Himiko Toga put her head on Jungtai's neck, sniffing hard, and scratched his back, good money, with her nails, making Jungtai itchy. Illustration. Is my charm already so great? No, no, this must be one of the illusions of life. I always feel that the girl in front of me who is very interested in herself is a bit weird, and Masada is also heartbroken. What did you do? Why are you here now? Yayorozu's question soon came from a distance, and Masada was also interested in a device in the haunted house. If he knew what happened to Yayorozu, he was afraid that there would be no good fruit today. At this time, standing in place, Dui was holding his clothes, buried his head in it, and kept sniffing, as if there was still a residual smell of Masada on it, and the cute tiger teeth were so conspicuous under the idiotic smile. Master Jung, I really like you when I cross over. Jean. Chapter 88 The wife who was deceived again. Advertisement. I don't want to go to school. Although I met a weird person in the amusement park that day, this did not affect everyone's interest in having fun. In the end, everyone returned with great fun. By now it was already 2 days later, that is, the day to go to school. After coming to the classroom and sitting down, Masada was immediately surrounded by Mineta and Kaminari. Seeing Masada's dazed expression, Mineta said with a deep resentment. You are too interesting, Mrs. Tae. You went to the amusement park alone with the girls. Yeah, why don't you call us? Obviously everyone is good brother. How can you enjoy it alone? Kaminari also came to the back of Masada, clutching his shoulders and swaying constantly. This kind of instant vision like a winner in life made him very envious. Oh, this is it. He clapped his hands as if suddenly realized, and patted Mineta's shoulder. The amusement park is really good, not only went to the roller coaster, but also went to the haunted house. And the weather that day was also very good, the girls were all dressed up and very cool, and the white ones made me dazzle. But being crowded in a group of girls also makes me very distressed. It's obvious that I am a real man, and I always feel that the eyes around me are a little strange, don't you think of me as a male best friend? Listening to Masada's continuous explanation, the eyes of the lecherous duo became more fierce. This guy 283 definitely did it on purpose, the resentment from a grape that hasn't touched a girl's hand in 15 years. It feels like we became famous after the sports inspection. I was recognized on the tram today. Seeing the enthusiasm of the conversation here, Kirishima also leaned over. Yes, that's right, even I, who failed the qualifiers, were said hello. It's a shame to be an old woman. Hearing Kirishima's words, Grape was still happy at first, and then it seemed that he had received a huge blow again, and his head was covered with black lines. It seems that it's not just me, the classmates in the class have received a lot of attention. Heroes in this world, just like stars in previous lives, will be noticed when walking on the street, and the more famous ones will even be asked for autographs. Occasionally, Matt is a good example. Advertisement. The girls in the class also gathered together for a lively discussion. They seemed to have endless topics when they had just been to the amusement park. Okay, everyone be quiet. The bell rang, and Aizawa Shota walked into the classroom on time. At this time, he was no longer a mummy. The bandage on his face had been removed, but the CDEI scar at the corner of his eye was still obvious. Today's Heroes informatics is a bit special, and everyone is mentally prepared. Hearing what Aizawa-sensei said, everyone swallowed. Is it a surprise test? Forgive me. This is Kaminari's thoughts. Is there something big going on? Yayorozu, who has been following social news, was a little curious. Is there any action in the League of Villains? Masada thought of what Matt said in the ward occasionally last time, and he also had some guesses in his heart. Today's course, the content is the idea of Heroes code name, that is, everyone's Heroes name. Oh. As soon as Mr. Aizawa's words fell, the class started to boil. The name Heroes accompanied the life of Heroes. It is the most recognized code name. It can also be said that it is the starting point of Heroes. Deceived again. Mr. Aizawa has been deceived by Mr. Aizawa's feelings several times, like a salted fish that has lost his dream lying on the table. In the past 2 days, the school has also sorted out the invitation from the Heroes office, and you will also go to participate in the on-site internship. While talking, Mr. Aizawa took out the remote control and pressed it towards the projector, and a list of classmates appeared on the blackboard. This invitation is quite normal, right? It's not too concentrated. On the blackboard, I saw Masada's name ranked first, with more than 3,000, and Hong was second with more than 2,000. The third place is not Yayorozuman, but Bakugo. Although he lost to Masada in the top 4 battles, Bakugo's strong combat power and keen combat intuition obviously also attracted the attention of professional Heroes, and the invitation he received was only a little less than that of Bakugo. And the 4th place is Yayorozu Bai, also has nearly 1,000 invitations. However, except for the top 4, the data of other students is relatively bleak. Advertisement. For example, Lugu and Mineta did not receive even an invitation. It's like heaven and earth. Seeing her double-digit invitation, Kirishima knocked her head against the desk without listening to relieve her depression. There are only a few dozen teas, but she is holding her face at this time, looking very happy. Because the future has already fallen, Cha-Cha has returned to the carefree vitality girl, except of course when she wakes up in the morning. Looking at the class in a tumult, Mr. Aizawa did not stop them. After all, it was a happy moment. Although the current hero's name is only tentative, many people's temporary hero's names have been passed down from school days and became the hero's names directly after being recognized by the world. If you make a random idea of a hero's name, I will show him what hell is. The door of the class was suddenly pushed open, and Teacher Midnight in a sexy tights walked in with the holy light, and instantly attracted the attention of the boys in the class. But I am not very good at this, so the taste of naming is left to others. After saying this, Mr. Aizawa took out his sleeping bag and lay in, turning into a caterpillar. Think about what you want to be like in the future, leave a fixed impression by naming it, and then work hard towards it. This is the so-called famous person. After Mr. Midnight walked in, he handed out a whiteboard to everyone. After giving some suggestions, he gave everyone 15 minutes to think. Jing Tai, what name do you plan to use? Yaoyorozu, who was sitting next to the king, poked him and asked curiously. Well, I have some thoughts in my heart, but let me sell it first. How about you? It should be the one that I said when I was young, right? Ah, yes, Yaoyorozu is not too shy. He just lifted Yaoyorozu and showed it to Jung Tai. Sure enough, the words, Kriti creation daughter, were written on it, which also explained her quirk very well. When he heard the name, Masada was actually thinking about it. Originally, she used the code name of Martial Marine Akainu, but when I thought about it, this name doesn't seem to be a special hockey, and the name Hero S there is an animal in it that always feels weird. Chapter 89 Pick a name. Advertisement. Looking at his watch, 15 minutes have passed at this time, and Mr. Midnight smiled and waved his hand and said, the time is almost up, and the students who think about it can come up and announce it. You still have to announce it. This requires a lot of guts. Obviously, the class did not expect to have this one, and some worried that their hero's name was not good enough. However, Aoyama Yuga has already stepped onto the podium at this time. As a person who wants to be noticeable, the word shy may not be in his dictionary. Shining hero SL cannot stop twinkling. The one in the front is pretty normal, but it becomes a short essay in the back. In the mention of Mr. Midnight, Aoyama modified part of the name of hero S followed by the energetic Mina. Alien Queen. Turned down. After hearing the two weird hero S names, everyone cringed even more. At this moment, Asui suddenly stood up. Green moving spirit Froppy. This is the name of the hero S that Asui thought of when he was in elementary school. It has been unanimously appreciated by everyone, and it is also a good start for this farce. Afterwards, everyone showed off their hero S names one by one. In the end, there were only 4 people left: Shanta, Midoriya, Bakugo and Iida. Masada wanted to see everyone's names first, but Bakugo was rejected because the name was too vicious. On the other hand, Midori Valley and Iida seemed to be hesitant in their hearts, and never started writing. Then I will do the next one. Standing up, Masada took the whiteboard and walked to the podium, showing her hero S name to everyone. The Ashbringer. Seeing Masada's style and their completely different names, the students were a little puzzled. Yes, since I have chosen to become hero S, then I will also take on the corresponding responsibilities of hero S. Let me become Magma and turn the darkness of this society into ashes. Advertisement. This is also the last hero S name that Masada thought of. The Ashbringer was originally a sword carrying the holy light. This sword can turn the undead into ashes, so I got this name. In front of him, all evil will be turned into ashes. Masada feels that he is qualified to use the name of this legendary sword. After Masada, Midoriya and Iida also confirmed their hero S name. Midori Valley uses Deku, which is what Mr. Aizawa said to him during the entrance test, which means a puppet. However, this name also has another meaning. Come on. And Iida used his own real name. In the past 2 days, everyone has also learned about his brother, Ingnium, who was attacked and seriously injured by the hero S killer. After all, the hero S killer on TV these 2 days the rumors of has gone crazy, and Ingnium is also a very well-known hero S. However, Iida today showed that nothing happened. Everyone tried to provide comfort, but the effect was not great. Since everyone's hero S names are ready, let's dismiss the get out of class. Next is a week-long workplace experience. I will send you the application form later. After I have selected it, I will submit it before the weekend. Quote. After announcing the end of get out of class, Mr. Aizawa quickly took a look at the documents from the office. Even if you are not invited, you can choose from 40 hero S offices nationwide. You have to choose a region that suits your quirk. Indeed, professional hero S have different areas of expertise, so you must think about it carefully. During class, the students were discussing where to go for internship. I'm going to Vine Hero S. Cha-Cha pointed towards Jungtai and pointed to the invitation he had received, and spoke full of vitality. Vine Hero S, that's a Hero S active in the urban disaster relief scene. It's really suitable for Quirk. Yaoyorozu agrees with her idea from the side. Compared to fighting, Ochako's Quirk is more suitable for helping others. How about you, Masada? Have you considered where to go? Hearing Yaoyorozu's question, Masada took a thick pile of lists on the table. Ah, think about it, I will go to Endeavor. Hearing the words of Masada, the classmates in the class immediately gathered around. After all, Endeavor is recognized as number 2, and it turns out to be like a student throwing an olive branch. I'm so envious. Going to Endeavor will definitely fight criminals. But I won't be left behind. Kirishima chose a downtown area this time, and his main job is to catch criminals, which fits his temper. Advertisement. Huh, what's good about Endeavor? I'm going to the Mountain Girl. For flowers. Lulu looked at Kirishima with disdain, and said proudly. Amanetta must be really thinking about something nasty. I really want to go to the flooded area. Asui, who has always been straightforward, directly pierced Minetta's nasty thoughts, and Minetta's sudden change of color also proved this. Sitting in the position without moving, he also heard the words from the side. He was also a little surprised when he heard his father invited Masada. I remember that my father has always been very busy, and this time he will take time to take the students, which is a bit different from him before. Looking at the application form in his hand, there was also the words, Endeavor Firm, on it, which confirmed his determination. By the way, where are you going? Suddenly realizing that I still don't know where Yaoyorozu 100 is going, Jungtu quickly asked. Upon hearing Masada's words, Yaoyorozu directly took out her mobile phone and showed the information on it to Masada. I'm going to Hero S. She is one of the few outstanding female Hero S. Hero S. I know. I have seen her advertisement. She is a big beauty. The grapes on the side became excited in an instant. I am afraid that only these female Hero S can remember so firmly. In the dark alley. Hero S killer, what is your purpose? I didn't do anything illegal, right? Why didn't you let me go? A blood-stained Hero S was lying in the corner, looking up at the black shadow in front of him with difficulty. This black shadow wears a scarlet scarf and is full of knives all over his body. At this moment, he is holding a flashing katana in his hand, which is stabbed in the abdomen of this Hero S. Listening to the other party's words like begging for mercy, Stain stretched out his long tongue and licked his lips. Hero S is a title that can only be deserved by people who have accomplished great achievements. You, who earn a lot of money from Hero S activities, don't deserve to be called Hero S. The expression on his face rose, and the narrow eyes showed a cruel color. The samurai sword moved deeper, and then horizontally. Suddenly, the splash of blood added a hint of red to the alley. Chapter 90. The on-site internship has begun. Advertisement. Soon, the time came to the day of the workplace internship. Have you brought your combat uniforms? Normally, you can't wear combat uniforms in public anymore. Be careful not to lose them. Under the leadership of Mr. Aizawa, the classmates arrived at the station after taking on their combat uniforms. Since the places chosen by everyone are distributed all over the country, they will also be here separately and rush to their respective destinations. In addition, you must be polite with professional Hero S. Let's go. Iida, if you really have any trouble, you must tell me. After Aizawa-sensei announced the dismissal, he left alone, and Midoriya Izuku also stopped the fan who was about to turn around. Field. After that, Green Valley also received the invitation of the professional Hero S. 23, and he was also the original head teacher of All Might and the partner of the 7th owner of ONEFORALL, so he is now standing with excitement. It's here. But he was very worried about Iida. Although he always smiled in front of people, Midori could see the deep hatred in his eyes. And obviously there is a better place to go. This time Iida chose a small office in Hosu City. It happened that a few days ago, the news also reported that the Hero S assassin was found in Hosu City. There is no connection between the people, and they don't believe in killing Lugu. Well, I will, are we friends? Hearing his friend's concern, Iida also turned his head and gave a bright smile, but when he turned around again, his expression was instantly darkened. I didn't expect you to go to your father's office, boom. On the tram, I was too idle, chatting with the people around me. Sitting next to Masada was shockingly loud. In the end, he chose his father's invitation to go to Endeavor office for an internship. After the sports festival, I visited my mother and confirmed something from her. Obviously he was a lot more cheerful than before, looking at his hands. Advertisement. From her mouth, I learned that my father has never forgotten his family. Maybe there are other reasons that led to his practice for so many years. So this time I want to see him at work and look forward to the answer. A harmonious family is really important. It's better to own home. Listening to the twists and turns of the story, Jung is too emotional. Although there will be minor conflicts in his own family, most of the time is full of laughter. Let me say, your dad just doesn't express his feelings. What do you mean? Suddenly heard Masada's sentence, he turned his head and asked. Changed to a comfortable sitting position, squeezed his chin too much. Actually, your dad called me during the sports festival. At that time, I thought I was a very approachable uncle. Maybe he wanted to surpass All Might. His obsession is too deep, so I ignored your feelings. Endeavor's office is in Tokyo, so the two of them soon arrived. Wow, it's Endeavor, this office is really magnificent. Looking up at a building towering into the sky, I sighed too exaggeratedly. The professional hero S is indeed rich. The size of the hero S office is better than that of a chain company. Obviously, Endeavor had also said hello beforehand, and the two walked into the elevator in the awe of the front desk. The place where Zhengma and them are going now is Endeavor's private office, which is located on the top floor of the building. When they came to the office door, they rushed forward and knocked on the door. Come in. A deep magnetic voice came out from inside, and then the figure of Endeavor sitting on the sofa appeared in front of the two of them. Even in the office area, the flame on Endeavor's beard did not go out, which is also a sign of his toughness. Welcome to the world of professional hero S. These are the jobs you need to do in the next week. Take a closer look. Seeing his son appear here, Endeavor's face was obviously lightened a lot, but his words were still pitiful. He patted a stack of paper on the coffee table, apparently beckoning the two to take it for themselves. Let me see. The first morning I sorted out the papers, and the streets patrolled in the afternoon. The next day I started free travel. Advertisement. Looking at the empty 2 lines of the schedule, I was a little confused. This is different from what I thought. What the hell is the free schedule? Seeing the stiff expression on Masada's face, Endeavor also knew what he was thinking, and explained. Except for emergencies in some cities, Hero S usually acts on the first day after receiving a commission, just to let you experience the work of Hero S if there is no commission, and then you will follow me to act. Quote. Should I say that I am a real father? When I was a student, I followed number 2 for the Hero S activity. For now, you will get familiar with it first, go to the dormitory and put your luggage away, and then I will let someone lead you to the street in the afternoon. He took a key out of his pocket and handed it to Boom. The dormitory is on the 10th floor. Okay, let's gather in the afternoon. When I walked out of the office, I stretched too big, it's so awesome. Boom. Maybe you can fight tomorrow. What kind of villains do you think you will encounter? The police glanced at the imaginary wife, and poured cold water on him. How can there be so many villains to catch you every day? Hero S activities are not only fighting criminals. It is Hero S's responsibility to resolve disputes and cooperating with the police. Don't think too much about it. Soon, the two of them came to the dormitory where they were going to live in the past few days. Are the apartments the same? The conditions are really good. I don't know if it was specially arranged or all rooms are like this. At this time, the room is about 30 square meters. The bedroom, bathroom and kitchen are all available. It can be said that it is a very comfortable accommodation. Then I'll go back to my dormitory first. See you in the afternoon. Naturally, the two would not live in the same room, but Masada's room was a bit earlier. Closing the door, opening the window, feeling the cool breeze coming from the pavement, I narrowed my eyes too pleasantly. I don't know if anything interesting can happen in the afternoon. Overlooking the traffic-bound street outside the window, I was thinking too much. Chapter 91 Qualified Hero S. Advertisement. You two are the students who came to our firm for internship. After lunch, Masada and Hong met at the agreed place. It didn't take long for a staff member to lead them onto the street. In fact, our work is also very easy on weekdays, because the truly dangerous things are not our turn. So things like helping grandma to cross the road are also part of our work. While introducing his daily work, this ordinary-looking man picked up a trash on the ground and threw it into the trash can. It's not an exaggeration to say it's boring, but I'm quite happy about it. There are only a few glamorous heroes on the bright side. In this society, there are more people who silently contribute their strength like the man in front of them. Looking at the man patrolling with the two in front of him, Masada knew more about the word hero in his heart. Patrols are really boring, at least Masada thinks so. General patrols are very rare to encounter cases. Except for patrols at night, they sometimes encounter punks. At other times, they basically press the road. Feeling Masada's boredom, ordinary men also patiently explained. The patrol seems to be just to prove that Hero is nearby, to give people a sense of peace, and at the same time to bring a certain amount of deterrence to the villains in the dark. Just not long after they left, several passers-by greeted ordinary men. Obviously, they were familiar with him, or had received his help, so they were very enthusiastic. Are you Hero S? Suddenly, a middle-aged woman came over and asked the three tentatively. Yes, do you need any help? The ordinary man smiled at her politely, and asked the aunt about her intentions by the way. Oh, that's great. Come with me. There is a weird person in our community. You can take care of it. Our neighborhood committee can't bear it anymore. Hearing the answer she wanted, the aunt became enthusiastic in an instant, and directly took the man's arm and dragged him forward, and Masada and Hong could only follow behind. After all, as I said before, resolving civil disputes is also one of Hero S's responsibilities. Let me tell you, this time you went there for the sake of extermination. This pervert likes to collect underwear the most. The front is his room. The ant looked very anxious too, and the steps were very large. Soon the four of them came to an old-fashioned community, and now the ant is pointing forward. At this moment a man just walked over. Is that the pervert you are talking about? This man has reached middle age, wearing a wrinkled white vest and a pair of big pants, a pair of black flip-flops on his feet, sparse hair on his legs, a greasy face and a bald forehead, no matter how you look at it. It's not like a serious person. Yes, it's him. This guy's hobbies are disgusting to us. I have seen him go to a lingerie shop to buy women's underwear. Call him a wretched man for the time being. The ant looked at this wretched man. The disgust on her face was beyond words, as if looking at him more was an insult to her own eyes. Then don't stand stupidly, go and confront him quickly. Looking at the ordinary man with a thoughtful look, Masada was a little puzzled. Don't worry, let's observe his situation first. Advertisement. As he said this, the ordinary man walked quietly to the window of his house with Masada Hibang. Pulling out the phone and turning on the camera mode, the palm of the ordinary man suddenly separated from his body. This is, yes, my quirk only allows the palm to be separated from the body, and there is a distance limit, so I am not very good at fighting. Seeing Masada Hibang's eyes, the ordinary man also explained, and then took out a mobile phone from his pocket with his other hand. After opening it, it was the picture of the mobile phone floating in the gap of the window. It's really good, this quirk can still be used like this. Masada also had a wide-open vision. He didn't expect such an ordinary quirk to be used by him to gather information. Okay, quickly look at the situation inside. In a very simple room, the only decoration turned out to be girls' panties all over the wall. Puff. Seeing the scene in the room, Masada laughed directly. This is indeed a pervert, there is such a generous operation to show the underwear. The wretched man just now also opened the door and walked in, and took out a piece of cloth from the vest bag he was holding in his hand. Little cute comes home, today's is the pure love student money. Looking at the cloth in his hand, a perverted smile appeared on the face of the wretched man. Why don't you try it on? Speaking of this, the wretched man actually bends down slowly and puts that piece of cloth on his body. I can't help it. This is too disgusting. Seeing this scene, Masada only felt a little nauseous in her heart. A middle-aged greasy uncle who was still sloppy, wearing such a fabric really makes people unable to open their eyes. With the speed that an ordinary man could not react, he quickly pushed the door open. Hurry up and stop. The ant, who had been hiding in the distance before, ran over immediately when she saw Masada's movements. Accept the sanctions, wretched man. Today I called Hero S to come over, and I must destroy all your underwear. And the wretched man who was still immersed in his own fantasy, heard the words of the two, and made a sudden move. No. Looking at the lighter in the hands of the ant of the neighborhood committee, as if he was about to burn all of his treasures, the wretched man knelt on the ground with a soft knee. I know I'm a bit perverted and like to collect panties, but these panties are all bought and picked up by me, not stolen. Advertisement. The teary wretched man looked at the ant with a malicious look and pleaded bitterly. Let go of these panties. However, the ant also has Masada's backing at this moment, not afraid of him at all, raising the lighter and leaning towards the underwear on the wall. The wretched man's eyes are desperate, and his treasure is about to be destroyed under his nose. Stop. The sudden words outside the door attracted everyone's actions. It was an ordinary man who rushed over. In this world, some people like to collect toys, and some people like to collect antiques. The ordinary man walked into the room while talking, took the lighter from the dazed ant, and continued. Some people like mobile phones, and some even collect ties. And this person, he just likes to collect things different from everyone else, he likes to collect underwear. But what's the problem? Many people have some ulterior habit. He didn't steal or snatch it, and didn't harm other people. Even more, he just entertained himself in his own house. So, you don't have the right to interfere with his life, just know his hobbies, and you will do everything possible to kill his hobbies. This is just your wishful thinking. The words of ordinary men made the ant of the neighborhood committee speechless. In addition, he looked at her coldly from the side, which scared her away. Masada also realized his shortcomings just now, and was too impulsive when he didn't know the whole story. Thank you all. The wretched man who saw the ant of the neighborhood committee left, stood up from the ground and bowed deeply to the ordinary man. Today I feel for the first time that I am not a pervert, I just collect things that are different from others. No, you are a pervert. When I returned to the office, it was almost evening. It seems that I still have a lot to learn. Masada, who was walking on the road, spoke to the Boom beside him, and Boom also had a pensive expression, still thinking about the daytime affairs. Haha, you are all top students from Shangying, you will all have great prospects in the future, but there are some things that can only be understood after experiencing it. Looking at the two thoughtful men, the ordinary man turned his head and smiled. Things like today are happening all the time, and most people in Hero S are dealing with similar incidents. Okay, now, I won't send you up. See you if you are destined. After speaking, the ordinary man turned his head and continued his work, leaving Masada Hibang at the door of the office. Although I don't know his name, I think he is a qualified hero. Seeing ordinary men walking away happily greeting passers-by, Masada said to the boom beside him. Chapter 92 The First Hero's Event. Advertisement. I received a commission last night. Today you will act as my assistants to complete it together. Early the next morning, Masada Hihong was called to the office by Endeavor and explained today's arrangements. Hearing what his father said, he stood there with a cold face, as if he didn't care at all, but Masada was very interested. What is this commission about? To catch the criminal, or to rescue the lost girl? After taking a look at Boom, Endeavor said, this commission was issued by the government. A few years ago, a scientist escaped from a scientific research institution and was nowhere to be seen. This time we caught his fox tail, and we are going this time. Capture him. Is it just for a scientist to mobilize people like this? Even the number 2 hero has to do it himself. Masada is a little puzzled, this scientist is too good. Perhaps it was found that his son also showed an expression of interest. Endeavor was surprisingly patient at this time. He was one of the most famous biologists at the time, and the subject he was studying was the cause of Quirk. However, because his thinking was too extreme, he hoped to use living people as experiments. Although this proposal was rejected, he still was included in the blacklist. He was already in madness, so he used his quirk to escape from the laboratory. A few days ago, someone claimed to have found beasts with Quirk on the outskirts of Wano. The government suspected that these beasts were what he did, so he entrusted us. Investigate it. In addition, the reason why I went personally is also partly because the difficulty of this task is very suitable for you, so I will not make a move until the necessary moment on this trip. After speaking, Endeavor looked at Zheng Taihei in front of him, and his eyes indicated that they still had some problems. Heng also spoke at this time, then what is his quirk? Can he escape from the well-guarded Scientific Research Institute? This should also be filed, and we will be able to make plans after we know it. He glanced approvingly. His quirk is not strong, it is physical reorganization, which can accelerate the division of cells and heal the injury, but it is only used on himself, and coupled with the weak body, it is not enough. Worry. Quote. And his escape may have been planned long ago. Using his position, he bought the guards early and could only escape with their assistance, and the guards disappeared with him. Okay, let's leave now, because he is hiding in the mountain, so this time we hiked into the mountain. Wano was not far from the office, and soon Endeavor drove the two to the outskirts where the clues were found. According to the intelligence, the scientist is hiding in this mountainous area in front of him. Looking at the map in the phone, Endeavor said to the two of them, then I will follow you behind, and it's up to you how you act. After speaking, he put his arms around his chest and stood there and stopped talking. Advertisement. So do you have any good plans? Looking at the dense trees, I feel a little headache. If I set the mountain on fire for the hero's activity, I will be caught in prison. A drop of cold sweat slid down on Boom's head. It was not that difficult to find someone aimlessly in this forest. Forget it. Let's go to the mountain, take one step and see one step. There is no good way to see the other party. Masada is also very decisive and walks forward. The boat will naturally be straight at the bridge head. As soon as I entered the forest, the light immediately dimmed, and the fragrance of vegetation could be smelled around, and occasionally one or two unnamed birds passed by. The cool and fresh air in the forest refreshes people's spirits. It feels completely different from the city, the charm of nature is really endless. After going around for a long time, I didn't find the so-called villains nor any suspicious buildings. I took a deep breath and praised it. Masada seemed to have completely forgotten the purpose of this trip at this time, and she looked like a city person going for a picnic in the mountains. However, his eyes have been scanning the surroundings secretly, obviously his heart is not as relaxed as it seems on the surface. Boom also looked alert, and a chill was already faintly coming out of his right hand. Found it. Suddenly, with a loud roar, a cone of ice condensed from his hand and shot out towards the crown of the tree above his head. Snarling. Only a muffled hum was heard, and a dark shadow fell from the tall tree and fell to the ground. Let's say, are you the kind of wise beast? What is the purpose of sneaking with us for so long? Seeing the stalker show up, Zheng Tai squeezed his fist and made a click, click sound, and walked over with a look of ill intentions, looking like a street gangster. You, don't come over. It turned out to be a monkey that fell. At this moment, he was looking at the Zheng Tai who was walking with a look of horror, as if he was the one who was wronged. I don't know anything. Give up. Advertisement. As if suddenly thinking of something, the monkey's complexion changed and he closed his eyes directly, with a brave expression on his face. You hurt me so much by the way you look, I'm not a bad person. Masada watched as the monkey in front of him had made up his brain as a badass. A tic-tac-toe appeared on his forehead, and his arms began to become hot. Feeling the sudden rise in the surrounding temperature, his fur seemed to be on fire, and even smelled the scorching smell. The monkey opened his eyes suspiciously. I don't want to die. I saw a scarlet fist appeared in front of his forehead, and lava was still dripping from it, corroding small holes in the ground. Can you still tell me now? Fortunately, Masada, who perfectly replaced himself in the role of the villain, was also evil all the way to the end. He threatened the monkey and said, even better than his own fist. Talk about it, I said. Qian Zhao, do you go ahead and keep your fists away. Between life and loyalty, the monkey made a choice without hesitation, and the frequency of nodding makes people look at it. Should I stay away? Okay. Boom, change you. Masada was also very generous and satisfied his quirk, put the magma away, and stepped back a few steps. Seeing Masada's movements, the monkey's eyes rolled, and he didn't expect to talk so easily on the other side. It seems that it is not without a chance to escape. However, he quickly rejected this idea. A chill spread up from under his body, directly freezing his lower body completely, leaving only one head to be able to move outside. With the temperature that I release now, you still have 10 minutes. If you exceed this time, the place where you are frozen will be necrotic. The right hand touched the thunderous opening on the ground. The monkey's heart collapsed at this time. Discussion. Chapter 93 Intelligent Animals. Advertisement. Under the double threat of Masada and Boom, the monkey quickly revealed the reason for his presence here. Actually, I was originally a human. The first sentence surprised Masada and Hong, and even Endeavor behind them had a beard. You are here to catch the doctor. Looking at Masada and Hong's costume, and the flames burning on Endeavor, the monkey said for sure. Doctor. It should be him. Masada and Hong glanced at each other and nodded. So where is the doctor you mentioned now? And how did you become like this? Hearing this, a trace of fear flashed in the monkey's eyes, as if he was very afraid of the doctor. I advise you to leave as soon as possible, and don't lose yourself too. Could it be that the doctor is very powerful? Why are you so afraid of him? I was too curious to ask. After all, from the information, this doctor can be said to be powerless, and the quirk is not very powerful. No, but the doctor has a group of powerful subordinates to protect him. Those were the first to follow the doctor. I heard that they were once colleagues. But now they are all like me. Follow him at the earliest. Colleagues. Could it be that those people are the guards who disappeared with him in the research institute? This makes sense. Analyzing the monkey's words, Boom said slowly, then how did you meet this doctor? I was originally a villager nearby. About a year ago, I went out to chop firewood. Suddenly, my eyes went dark. When I woke up, I was lying in the laboratory and became like this. Since then, I have been helping the doctor work. Moreover, the doctor asked me to take the chronic poison. I have to take the antidote every week, so I have never dared to escape. This time I came out on patrol. I saw you three outsiders, so follow me. Maybe villains of villains is a friend. The monkeys are very cooperative now, and they know everything. After all the information they know, they told Masada and Boom. This time we are here to arrest him. Don't worry, we are very strong, so you can quickly lead the way. Now that he knew that the doctor was in this forest, Masada didn't want to get more ink stains with the monkey, so he kicked the ice on his body and lifted him out. Advertisement. It's better to be honest. We can catch you once and we can catch you a second time. The second time we won't be so polite. Since this monkey has been following the doctor for so long, although he was forced to be helpless, he was definitely not a good person anymore, and Masada's tone would naturally not be too good. Under the leadership of the monkey, Masada and his group walked around the forest for a long time, and finally saw the traces of human activity after pulling aside the bushes in front of them. So this tower is your base camp. Looking at the buildings that are no more than 5 meters in front of them, they appear extremely short among the tall trees around. I was too suspicious of them. Of course not. The building above is only for storing materials. The real research place is underground. Stepping on the foot, the monkey pointed at the bottom of the foot, and the entrance to the underground is in this building, but there are guards in this building. They are not as weak as me. I heard the doctor say that I am just a failure. Guard. But relying on our ability, we can only make a frontal raid, right? The quirk on one side is magma, and the other side is ice and fire. No matter how you look at it, it is not compatible with sneaking, so there is only one way to attack. Just use villains to break through quickly, right? I asked Wenhong with a questioning look, and nodded when he saw him. Endeavor also did not express his views on the two people discussed in front of him, unless they encountered danger or failed the mission, otherwise he would not take action. For such a hard building, let me do it. Standing up from the bushes, Masada shook off his coat. Meteor volcano. With both hands turned into lava, countless magma bombs slammed into the sky frantically, dyeing the sky red. CDEI, it was obviously noon, but it seemed as if it was already evening. 10 seconds later, accompanied by a whistling sound, the magma bomb fell from the sky and hit the hard building severely. The sirens sounded from inside the building, mixed with crying sounds. In the face of this huge force, the solid shell did not play any role at all and it collapsed. The scene inside the building was exposed to Masatahe's eyes. It was basically similar to a factory building. There were some half-human and half-beast guys running away, and some were struggling under the collapsed rocks. Advertisement. What you did is too much. Looking at the chaotic scene, he took a step forward, touched the ground with his right foot, a piece of frost spread from the tip of the toe, and collided with the lava flowing on the ground. The ice and fire instantly expanded the air, and a large piece of steam erupted directly from it. Came out. When the steam dissipated, the original factory building had already become an empty space, and the gravel and guards just now were blown to the side and wailed. It seems this is the entrance to the laboratory, right? When I walked to the clearing, I looked at a disc like a manhole cover under my feet. I stepped on it too much. Don't want to go in. Among the people who had been lifted off just now, a half-human, half-tiger creature was suddenly found out, and it threw towards Masada, who was facing away from him. Can't you lie down? Just be beaten in such a hurry. Such a big movement behind him was too natural to hear. Looking at the big face less than 1 meter away from him, the sleeping fluid on the sharp teeth was clearly visible. Get away from the uncle, it's disgusting. Volcanic eruptions. With the help of the propelling force of magma, the big fist of the sandbag hit the tiger man's stomach fiercely. Gengyu was still a tiger man who rushed quickly, and completed an emergency stop in the air. His eyes were staring, and then he flew at a faster speed. Back in the ruins. Boom. After a burst of smoke and dust, the tiger man fell on the rubble and did not move. The twitching body was obviously fainted, and there was a deep fist mark in the abdomen. Cut. If the guards inside are all of this kind, then this mission will be over soon. Blowing the white smoke that does not exist on the fist, I was too disdainful of it. And the monkey who had persuaded them to go back before was already stunned. In his eyes, the extremely powerful guard, half a tiger, was knocked down so easily, making him a little bit unbelievable in his eyes. Crunch. Grasping the disc of the underground entrance with both hands, Masada's waist suddenly exerted force, and he lifted the heavy lid, revealing a dark hole. Then, go ahead. Chapter 94 Powerful Rhino Man. Advertisement. The top is not good, but the bottom is very open. After climbing down the ladder on the passage, the three people came to a bright and spacious corridor. The surroundings were surrounded by white metal plates, glowing with a pale luster under the light. Behind these walls should be solid. Knocked on the metal plate, Boom said to Masada. Then there is only one way, it just saves our troubles. Along the way, there are also a few doors around, but the piles up inside are all debris and all kinds of incomprehensible medicines, and there is no personal image, let alone the so-called doctor. I said, Monkey, how far is this passage? The police glanced at the monkey who was shrinking at the end, and asked impatiently. Well, it's fast, it's coming soon, and it will be there after a while. As if he was very scared of Masada, the hair on the monkey trembled, scratching his ears and replied in a low voice. Suddenly, a cone of ice emanated from Boom's body, directly freezing the monkey in place. What are you doing? Haven't I been leading you all the time? Why hurt me? After struggling for a while, he found that the unmovable monkey immediately yelled and screamed, looking extremely aggrieved. I've been a little strange since just now, you will touch your ears every once in a while, and I finally found some clues just now. He stopped and said coldly, it seems that there is a special device in the ear, which has been passing messages to the doctor, right? So we can't see people at all along the way, right? Seeing the monkey whose complexion changed drastically, Masada also knew that he had been cheated by the monkey all the way. He didn't expect that even when his life was threatened, he was still so loyal to the doctor. After being pierced by the bomb, the monkey seemed to have been appointed, so he lowered his head and said nothing. Quote. Suddenly, there was a loud noise in the passage next to Masada. The white steel plate was suddenly knocked away, and a huge rhino rushed in. After the rhino came in, he looked at the surroundings and rushed towards Masada. It was simply a moving bulldozer. Everything blocking him was knocked off. The ice on the ground was smashed into pieces, and the monkey was also poked by his hard horns and flew to the depths of the passage. Advertisement. Hey, this skin looks a bit thick. Looking at the rhinoceros's grayish-white skin shining with metallic luster, he grumbled too much. Boom. A huge iceberg emerged from the foot of Boom, and headed towards the rhinoceros that was like a broken bamboo. Kacha. However, things are always going in a bad direction. In the face of the blasting ice, the rhino is not at all timid, and directly smashed the ice all the way to move forward. Booming, your ice doesn't work, maybe the skin of this thing is antifreeze, right? While joking with Bang, Masada's fist clenched and rushed up. At this time, let's beat him flying with my fist. Volcanic eruptions. Boom. This violent punch hit the hard horn of the rhino and was blocked. It's really tough, kid. The huge rhino shook his dizzy head and stopped. Since he can speak, it is obviously a product of a doctoral transformation. Cut. It's useless. The invincible fist was blocked by the front, which was a bit surprised. Looking at the appearance of the rhino, the punch just now did not cause any harm to the opponent. It seems that unlike the guards on the ground, this rhino is also very powerful. Since you punch me, let me punch it too. As the rhino said so, the huge body suddenly twisted, and then slowly shrank, and finally turned into a half-human, half-rhinoceros monster. Ha! Is this kind of transformation your talent? I just saw something similar to yours on it. Seeing the rhinoceros look like this, Masada remembered the tiger man who had been beaten by herself before, and the rhino in front of him was the same type. Don't compare that kind of semi-finished product with me. I am the strongest reformer. Hearing Masada's words, the rhinoceros seemed to be insulted, and rushed towards him with force. Advertisement. The speed has become faster. Is it because of the smaller size? I don't know if the strength will decrease accordingly. The movements of the rhinoceros are also very fast in the eyes of Masada, and it can be said that they are not inferior to the Quirk, which is a professional hero such as physical strengthening. For flowers. Boom also didn't just watch. After discovering that the ice Quirk could not cause too much trouble to the opponent, he now uses the fire ability. That's right, he can now use the left half of his body under the gaze of his father, which can be said to be a big change. The monstrous flames swept in, filling the entire passage in an instant, and the intense high temperature immediately turned this enclosed space into a furnace. You are the enemy and I are irrelevant, and you even burned me together. It's really merciless. A figure was discovered in the flames, really shrouded in the attack range of the bombardment, but there was nothing serious about him, except that he looked a little embarrassed, and even his clothes were not damaged. As mentioned before, Masada's combat uniforms are all heat resistant. Listening to the complaining words, he glanced at Masada speechlessly, but he knew that he was not afraid of fire, so he attacked together. After all, flames are not like ice blocks, and I am still very unskilled in its manipulation. Now it should become a fire-roasted rhino. The temperature of your flame is not low at all. He patted the dust on his body, looking at the sea of fire ahead, and said with a sigh. Boom also took a sigh of relief, apparently he didn't think that the rhino could beat the flame this time. It's useless. The words from the sea of fire surprised the two of them. In the flames between them, a figure walked out, it was the rhino. He slammed his palms to both sides, and the flame was completely extinguished, and the intact rhino man stood in front of them again, but now he has changed a little. Before, it was just a metal-colored lustrous skin, now it has been completely turned into steel, and there are still plumes of white smoke on it. Not only can he become a rhino, but he also has another kind of quirk. Such a sense of sight made Masada immediately think of Nomu. But this rhino man is obviously wise, which is completely the opposite of Nomu. After all, the latter is a complete tool, without self-consciousness at all. As this so-called doctor also connected with All For Own. Looking at the rhino man who was ready to fight, Masada felt a little worried. Long. Chapter 95 Defeat. Advertisement. Masada, you come to the main attack. I will limit his actions. Seeing that his attack had no effect on the rhino man, Hung quickly made a decision, and Niatu shouted too loudly to those who were still in a daze. Oh well. After regaining his senses, Masada also quickly found a fighting state, and the magma on his body was flowing out. Shotgun. I wanted to test the villain's defense first, and first used small tricks that are fast and difficult to evade. The rhino man on the opposite side obviously had no plan to escape. Seeing the dense magma bombs flying towards him, he raised his hands and crossed his head to block his head, speeding up without reducing his speed. Boom. The magma bomb hit him, just like hitting a steel plate. After leaving black spots on his body, he was shot out. It's really an iron box. Seeing that the long-range attack was of no use, Masada, 28-7, also gave up and continued to attack, and he rushed forward with a kick, ready to fight close combat. Big Spitfire. In this closed passage, the magma produced by the eruption filled the entire space in an instant, hitting the rhino man indiscriminately in all directions. And Boom also released an ice wall, blocking the back of the rhino, and then with a wave of his left hand, a large amount of flame was wrapped in the magma fist, making the temperature of the magma even more increased. Can't avoid it, can I just resist it? Looking at the thick ice wall behind him and the lava close at hand, the rhino man realized that he could only bear this blow. Boom. Even though the rhino man was powerful, he was beaten out by the heavy magma fist, and the magma fist did not stop advancing, but directly turned into monstrous magma, wrapped the rhino man in, and took him fiercely. Smashed to the ground. Boom. The lava flow like a torrent rushed straight to the ground, splashing countless stray bullets. Seeing that the magma was about to surge like oneself, the blasting movement was also dissatisfied. The icy cold air radiated, countless ice cones slammed into the magma, and they were evenly matched. However, the ice cubes continued to flow, and Masada did not continue to release the magma. In the end, the magma everywhere was cooled to stone. Advertisement. This rhino man can't breathe and die, right? Looking at a hill with many air holes in front of me, which was formed by the cooling of magma, I was thinking too maliciously. Unexpectedly, the cooperation between myself and Boom is still very good. The molybdenum forbidden power of this rock is much stronger than that of ice. Isn't it a hill? Endeavor stood not far away, looking at the two people with their backs to him, feeling a little bit in his heart. Sure enough, there is competition to make progress faster. Boom's current strength has improved a bit compared to the sports festival. This is only a few days, and the kid named Masada is also very clear. No wonder All Might liked him so much. Looking at the hill in front of me, it seemed that there was no movement, and it was leaning up too slowly. Do you think we should dig him out? This rhino man seems to be an elite class, he should know the whereabouts of the doctor. Turning his head, Masada spoke to Boom, but he saw Boom's eyes suddenly widened. And I also seemed to feel something wrong, the hill under my feet seemed to be shaking, as if something was about to break out of the ground. A jump immediately left here, returned to the side of the boom, staring at the shaking hill, gritted his teeth too much. Can't you be trapped? It's just a monster. Boom. After a loud noise, the hill formed by the volcanic rock exploded directly in front of the two, and a huge black shadow appeared in the dust in the sky. It turned out to be relying on the bigger body shape to burst the rock. Turning into a huge rhino again, the angry voice of the rhino man reached the two ears. Two brats, you made me angry. The rhino in front of him is obviously not in good condition. The metal skin on his body has peeled off, revealing the original color of the skin. It should be to resist the temperature of the magma and the pressure of the hill after it has grown. The quirk has been used to the limit. And his left eye also became a hollow. He was already blind, his hind leg was twisted, maybe his bones were also injured. It seems that you are at the end of the battle, what else can you use to fight us? Looking at the rhinoceros supporting the injury, he said coldly that he and Masada did not consume much, and had not been injured, it was still in their heyday. Just rely on my size to crush you. Advertisement. The angry rhinoceros exploded with a force several times stronger than before. The steel plates on the ground could not withstand the deformation of his anger being stepped on. Sure enough, the injured beast was the most terrifying. Now it becomes a creature that can't think, only has brute force. It's best to solve this kind of thing. The rhino in front of him, his eyes were already blood red, and he had obviously lost his reason. However, opponents without thinking ability are very easy to solve for Masada, because his most indispensable is destructive power. You can refer to Xiangying's robot and ordinary Nomu. Heaven dog. The arm instantly turned red, as if the iron body was being cast, exuding a palpitating temperature. Boom didn't seem to have a name for his moves, but a large flame also poured out from his body, whizzing towards the huge rhino. I don't know if your skin is so hard now. The quirk of this rhinoceros has been developed quite strong, at least from the perspective of Masada. It is much better than Kirishima, but since his quirk has been overused, it is uncertain whether he can resist this trick. With the blast of air bursting out of the flames, Jung was rushing towards the rhino too quickly, as if he was preparing for a confrontation. I'm not that stupid. People who are blind can see the terrifying power of this rhino, and Jung is too uninterested in wrestling with such a behemoth. When the distance from the angry rhinoceros was less than 5 meters, I was bending too fiercely, and I escaped the shimmering rhino horns at the moment of my hair, and I could even feel the biting wind blowing across my face, and then came with a slippery step. Under him. Lie down for me. Stabilizing his body, Masada's arm was directly stab upward, and the scarlet arm only felt an obstacle for 4.8 moments before inserting it into the abdomen of the rhino. The shape of the rhinoceros who was still charging stopped immediately. As the magma in Masada's hand erupted, and his back was also burned by the violent magma, a hole was burned out, and the wound connected to the abdomen was filled with hot magma, and it was huge. The body was actually pushed up by this magma. The bombing attack also came. The high-temperature flame surrounded the rhino in midair and made a zzz sound. After the propelling force of the magma was exhausted, the rhino fell to the ground and made a huge vibration. It looks like it's really killed now. Smelling the smell of meat in the air, Masada looked at the rhinoceros beside her. The internal organs were almost completely burned, and the skin was also burned extensively. If you don't get timely treatment, I'm afraid you will live soon. Boom boom. Just as Masada and Hong were about to take a break, there was a sudden noise from the depths of the passage.